Welcome back, everyone, to the Play Apex broadcast for the fourth and final qualifier for the Esports Nations Cup. Over this past weekend, hundreds of teams have been competing to secure the one spot to rep their country. And already the countries and teams for the APAC South, APAC North, and the EMEA region have been finalized. And tonight we will see which teams will be rounding out our top 40 and will be wearing their country's flag in the Americas finals. I'm joined with the one and only Jayhawk. Jay, tell me some of your initial thoughts going into tonight.
I love this tournament format. I think it's really unique. I love seeing players represent their countries, and I'm very excited for this lobby tonight because unlike pretty much any of the other regions outside of APAC North, where obviously we had a lot of Japanese representation, this is probably the most hotly contested country spot for the United States. We have 16 teams vying for one single spot today, and this lobby might turn into a bloodbath because of it.
Yeah, we'll get into Team Mexico and their qualifier that they're going to be gunning for as well. But what we really were talking about is this a qualifier like another for the USA teams with so many teams in the lobby and only one spot? That's something we haven't seen in Apex before. But let's quickly go through this format. If this is your first time tuning in to the ENC qualifiers, because it works a bit different than usual. There's two ways to qualify. So on the left of your screens, you'll see the guaranteed countries. These countries earn their invites through players of the nationality of these countries accumulating champs points through the ALGS and that split one playoffs that we just had. The single top placing team from each of these countries will go on to the Esports Nations Cup LAN. Now in the middle, you have the regional qualification. For the Americas, there are 6 additional country slots other than the 4 guaranteed ones that didn't get invites through the ALGS. For a team to qualify through this spot, they had to both be the best performing team from their country, as well as perform better than the rest of the uninvited countries, right? We'll show you those in a moment too. And finally on the right, this tournament over this past weekend has been a single elimination bracket. The top 10 would move on, the bottom 10 would be eliminated until it culminated into tonight with our top 20 teams going into a 6-game final set. Now, this is going to be quite interesting, as Jayhawk was saying, because the Americas, we already got 8 teams from our top 10 countries guaranteed their spot at LAN. So Jay, why don't you take us through what's happened so far and what our viewers need to watch closely to with our teams competing tonight?
Yeah, as you can see, all the other regions, they've already finished their qualifiers, so we're focused on the Americas. We already have most of these team slots already filled. Canada, Brazil, Argentina, Chile, Peru, Honduras, Puerto Rico, Guatemala, all of these teams have already solidified their spots. The only 2 that we are focusing on today, even though Brazil and Canada will both be represented in this finals lobby, is like you said, we have 2 squads from Mexico and then 16 teams from the United States vying for the 2 remaining spots to represent their nation. So it's going to be a fun one.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see what's going to happen here with those 2 spots, because the way that it works, you got to know, it's like if those Mexico teams get 19th and 20th, the 19th team is going through. So they don't care about the USA teams or the other teams that have already qualified, which are in our lobby, like Brazil tonight, for example, right? And then the 16 American teams, they need to basically win the lobby. If they want to find themselves at LAN, it's going to be a bloodbath. And we got a lot of good teams competing here. Obviously, the big storyline, the one that everyone thinks is the #1 squad coming in here, is HGZ with Imperial Hal, Guild, and Zap, coached by Dawn. But, they came 5th yesterday, and there's a lot of teams in here that we've seen beat them before, like players that beat them before in the LGS. So it could be anyone's game. Jay, what are you thinking about that?
Hal's got a lot of pressure. Listen, we almost saw a scare where Zero Waltzy and Jen Burton nearly missed out on representing Australia. They squeaked through. Imagine the trash talk if Hal is not able to make his way through to represent the United States. I kind of have a feeling that that's not going to be the case. I personally am believing we might see an upset here. I've got the Avengers, Zach Mazer, Carter, and Zainu as my pick to take the spot for the United States today. Reason being, Zach and Carter at this previous event in Paris, they were the highest placing United States team in the entire lobby. Obviously, Unlimit went on to win, but right behind them was Team Vision in 2nd place. You're not allowed to play with your full roster, so Lauder steps out, and we have Zainu jumping in, and I think he is more than up to the task to be the anchor for this team. I mean, when he was playing for Space Station Gaming, he won a LAN playing Wattson, so I do not doubt his ability to be the anchor player whatsoever. And ultimately, like I said in this tweet, I think that Zach Mazer, if there's anybody that reminds me of Captain America, it has to be him, that beautiful bald man.
Yeah, you know what? After the performance from Zach and Carter at the recent LAN, it makes sense. Then Zainu's long been one of the best players in the game. I know that's been a hot take that you fought for in the past too a few times. My take, I was going with something that's probably a little bit less technical, and I was saying Skeletron, which is got some of the NIP guys with Cole and Vayne, and then they added Koifel. Now, that's a powerful roster that absolutely could take the win here, but my reason for it is, if you guys are familiar with my co-host on the podcast, Wyatt, he typically curses pretty much every team he says is going to go through. He asked Cole, would you like to represent Team USA? And we thought that was a hilarious question, because who wouldn't want to represent Team USA? So for that reason, I think that it's going to be clear Cole's going to take Team USA's spot here after our qualifier.
Dude, Cole's response was literally like, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd love to represent Team USA.
Well, it makes sense. Why not?
Why would I not want to?
Now, let's get into some of our other tweets here. We had Renitricky, who he qualified with Kurev and Panic for Team Argentina, and you can see here it meant a lot of him. It said it's his entire life dream is to be able to represent his country in a global competition. Amazing to see how much this competition is meaning to our players.
Yeah, I know that South America as a region has had some bumpy roads over the course of Apex's history, so it's really cool that this tournament does get to put a spotlight on a lot of the players from there. Renitricky competed at plenty of lands in the past, and getting that chance to do so once again for Argentina.
Absolutely. Then we also got our Brazilian team coming up here. We had Theo tweet out what a story with his twin Talish. They qualified alongside their team, and you know, this one was even a funny one for me and Jay, because I believe, Jay, they called us out when we made our Team Brazil roster a few months ago when they first announced the ENC.
Yeah, I vividly remember about 6 months ago we did a prediction where we hopped on with our boy Donnie and we tried to cook up as many rosters as we could. Now, obviously at the time we didn't know there was going to be qualifiers. We thought the teams would be handpicked, and the Brazilian team was a little bit more of the old guard, some of the Brazilian players that had previously played and maybe weren't as active anymore but had the LAN experience. And I think it was Thalis was in the comments saying, you know, like, I don't know if these guys know ball, like why aren't they picking some of the more modern day Brazilian players? And obviously he proved us wrong, because him and his boys were the ones that ended up qualifying. And shout out to those guys, because they're the only Brazilian team that will be represented in this finals lobby, so they have locked up that spot.
Absolutely. And now we gotta go focus on this lobby here. We have the two Mexican squads. First, we got the El Presidente Yanya tweeting out that he was going to be in the finals today with his team alongside Jaguares and Giozi, who he competed with at the beginning of Split 1 that just happened. But they're going up against a former teammate and coach in Enemigo. Like, Yanya's competed with this guy at LANs, and they used to absolutely dominate, and that's with TMX. So it's going to be an interesting fight between these two. Lots of storylines there, lots of history, and which one of these teams is going to take the lead here and represent their country at ENC. We'll have to see. We know that either of them will be a great contender when that actual LAN comes.
Yeah, Mexico, definitely one of the dark horse nations, I feel like, going into this tournament. I think either squad would absolutely be incredible on that stage. At the same time, TMX, probably a little bit more of an upset if they're able to pull off that spot, but we'll have to see if they can do it.
Absolutely. Yeah, TMX, you know, can they come over the kind of like the juggernauts of Mexico? Yanya and Jaguares have been doing it for a while, making every single LAN alongside Nizul, who's not with them for ENC just because of how the roster rules work, and they pick up Giozi again, but it's going to be an exciting one. Let's get over to Team USA qualifier instead. Who's going to be representing that American squad, right? Because we got 16 teams like we were talking about, and that's the big storyline for today, for how difficult it's going to be for one of these guys to lock it up.
Yeah, the scary part, I feel like, for the United States teams is when it's not a match point lobby, only 6 games. If you get off to a slower start, you enter into a territory where you might have to drop some huge performances, especially as we get towards the back half of the lobby. And that's just not a place you want to be in. We've seen these kind of lobbies play out where it's a limited set of games, especially in like Challenger Circuit or Pro League qualifiers. As the lobbies get deeper and deeper, you don't want to be one of those teams that's on the back end, because the teams who are at the top of the lobby, they just sit, they rotate to zone, they play fundamental Apex, while everybody else is just trying to destroy each other on edge. You don't want to be in the destroying each other, because the odds are you're not going to come out on top in that situation, and the teams in zone are just racking up free points the whole time. So it's going to be, like we said earlier, a bloodbath for the Americas teams, and we're going to have to see who starts out hot, because I think it's going to be incredibly important.
Yeah, you don't want to have to be the team chucking a Hail Mary like EWC 2 years ago when it felt like one of our teams just basically got a gifted zone, but it was actually just everyone into each other. Let's look at our map rotation here. We're starting on our first 3 games on E District. Lots of congestion, lots of buildings to keep ourselves alive, but in those back half games when, you know, there are going to be some of those teams looking for Hail Marys, we got Storm Point. And I know, Jay, you're kind of talking about when those baby comps come into rotation, it can kind of get messy. Why don't you talk about that a little bit more?
Yeah, for those who watched the EMEA qualifier earlier, we saw the baby comp get brought out towards the end of that series, and obviously with Valkyrie, Gibby, Newcastle, no ability to scan ring console. And Stormpoint has not been a map that has been very kind to some of our teams historically when it comes to predicting zones. A lot of unpredictable possibilities there, and so we saw a handful of teams sitting down in Barometer when it was pulling up to Stormcatcher. They were all pretty convinced, and then they had to see the bad news and adjust later on. That is not a situation that you want to be in, especially if you need a lot of points towards the end of those games. So games 4 through 6, I think, are going to be the really interesting ones as the lobby probably gets incredibly aggressive and divulges into maybe some of the less fundamental Apex.
Yeah, then you just see like those Valk ult slams, especially when we were over in Paris, seeing how those teams were so desperate to be worried about holding a spot too early because a Valk might just take you out of your god spot, that you have to wait for that third party. I believe it was Falcons who struggled with that in the last game. And even though that was World's Edge, I feel like it's way more amplified when you got Storm Point and there's so much extra space that you have to deal with and such. I was also thinking that we haven't talked about Sweet, who's making his comeback to competing in Apex here. He's one of the biggest storylines to come in and could be, you know, a wrench in a lot of teams playing. Sweet's historically the guy who upsets people on match point, so might not be a match point lobby, but what can he do here? Imagine he comes back his first tournament and quals to a LAN.
I mean, obviously, it would be a movie. It'd be pretty hilarious. I know that Sweet, a renowned trash talker in the scene. Could you imagine this guy unretires and on like a month's notice is able to pick up 2 new teammates? I know he played with Slayer way back, but it's been like years. And then picking up Sacred, who he's never played with before and doesn't have as much experience as a lot of these other guys. And he's able to represent the United States. Out of every United States team, he's the one that's able to do it. I'm sure he would have a choice couple of words for the state of US Apex if that was the case.
Absolutely would. I don't even know if Sacred was competing when Sweet last was competing.
I don't think he was.
And we definitely did not have legend bans and everything like that. So if you found a way to navigate all of that and suddenly show up here and take the qualification, you definitely best believe there's some tweets, maybe a Sweet stream coming out where he's going to break it all down, how he did it. I'll be there for it all. I'll be there for it all.
You know that Hal would be so salty. He'd have it coming from Zero and Sweet. Every direction. Everybody would be just going at him.
Absolutely. We're looking at some EMEA highlights here for our qualifier today in the end zone with Great Britain Charvas as they took the last game there.
Yeah, then we also had Danish, another team that was able to pop off. One of those squads that had actually already secured their spot in the lobby, which I do think can maybe give us a little bit of a preview for Canada and Brazil, as those teams have already secured their spots. Those teams were able to play with zero pressure, and it showed that Danish was able to just pop off throughout the entire tournament.
Yeah, Team Poland, you see here when they were in the first place spot at around match 3, they were absolutely popping off the entire set and just rolling through the squads, found their way into the LAN and everything like that. You know, it was some of the teams that you expected to see come out and perform, they absolutely did.
Yeah, now we see Great Britain greats. I mean, this kind of gives us a little bit of a preview to what we might see out of the United States teams. We saw a handful of the Great Britain teams taking some of those games and being near that top of the leaderboard. It got really dicey towards the end. Even in that final game, there were still about 4 Great Britain squads that could have potentially taken the spot. And so that could be the case for some of our US teams going into tonight.
No, absolutely. That's what we're really going to want to be paying attention to when we get into those final games tonight is who are the teams at the top that are very close that we got to be focusing in on, especially if those 2 Mexican teams are just a few points across. That's what you want to be looking at today to see who's going to be moving forward. So keep your eyes out for when we get into those games 5 and 6, that which teams can take it over.
Yeah, as we check in on the EMEA results, you see Poland. Team Poland was able to take the first place spot. Light, Lufka, and Nate were able to win that lobby, but Great Britain Charvas also able to represent Great Britain Danish on there as well. And like I mentioned earlier, Great Britain Greats and Great Britain Creamers not too far behind. A very competitive lobby when it came to that Great Britain qualification spot. Also, got to shout out Kazakhstan. Shout out to our boy Kazakh. We knew that this man was going to single-handedly get his nation into the Nations Cup, and that he did.
I mean, it's in the name. It's in the name. He was gonna do it. It's Kazakh for Kazakhstan, man. Yeah, I mean, it just goes to show when you have 3 teams in the top 5 from the same country, it feels like EWC, ENC, they're always looking for that format that is gonna just really feel ruthless, really feel gutting, and take you to just feel really bad about the teams that miss out. Let's get into our POI draft here, though, starting with our Storm Point squads. Jay, is there anything that stands out to you? I feel like the thing for me was the number 1 pick was EDAM, I believe, with 2KTR or 2TKR.
Yeah, obviously this does stand out. E-District, you can see a lot more of our second round picks overall went towards this map, and I think that's a lot of our teams trying to prioritize the chaotic games 4 through 6 on Storm Point. But having a strong start, like I mentioned earlier, can be a really big boost for your performance. You don't want to have to be playing from that point of stress, that point where you're desperate and playing from behind. So E-District's certainly going to be probably the most important map as we start off game number 1.
Yeah, absolutely. Getting a good lead, I feel like, is always, for me at least, you feel more comfortable going into the back half rather than having to play behind and catch up if you get, you know, just a rough POI and some rough loot off a start. We're looking in here with Skeletron, Koi, NIP, and Vayne dropping over at Blossom Drive. And we're going to take a look at the zone pull here in a moment.
Blossom Drive, a little bit strong of a POI, definitely solid. They are going to be next to Team Canada, as you see over at Neon Square. Team Canada, one of those squads that has already punched their ticket through to the Esports Nations Cup. So you want to be a little bit careful around them because they don't have anything to lose. We're going to be heading down towards Humbert Labs, though. I feel like every single tournament on E-District, we've got to have a Humbert pull. Notably, we've got Buckle Boys and Hunt Kenny Wave, the storyline of Quavo Kenny himself coming from Call of Duty, the LA Thieves legend, now trying to make his way in Apex, and they're getting an early zone pull. And I think this really benefits them because, at least from what I've seen in their attempts to qualify for Pro League, they are much more of a zone-oriented team that wants to play for positioning. We're just going to have to see if they can pinpoint that end zone.
Yeah, I know even offline we've been talking about this a lot, like what that storyline could be if a former COD Pro came here and that was the team that was going to be representing USA for the ENC. But one thing I'm noticing here is there's actually not that many teams rotating very fast. There's a lot of teams taking their time. As we say that in E-District right now, we might already be getting a fight between Team Mexico and then Cody Nocturnal and Co. So we'll have to see if they actually engage. Yeah.
Gonna be no strangers to aggression. Historically, Yanya, Jaguares, these guys, 2 of the most aggressive players in the history of Apex. So Nice Guys seemingly gonna wisely back off and try to prioritize their rotation here. But you know that Mexico is gonna be right behind, so they're gonna have to be pretty quick with this one. We do have a couple of teams potentially coming in from their western side, though. CEF and Team Canada also making their way in towards the central area of the map. That's why here on E-District, being dead center is not always the most ideal situation, as a lot of teams do want to rotate in towards you.
Yeah, just watching this here as Nice Guys rotate away, they have more to lose than Team Mexico. Team Mexico obviously want to get a good jump start because if they can get the lead on TMX, then it doesn't matter what happens in the rest of the games. Whereas Nice Guys, a 0-point game hits a lot harder for them. So they need to be careful, and looks like they're trying to get the zone as well. Tuning in with Team Canada, as you mentioned, already registered or qualified for the LAN. So they're just making their way through E-District. And today their storyline is basically seeding. They're not worried about too much more other than seeding, pride for the country. I'm Canadian, shout out Canada. They're already looking to grief some squads here.
Yeah, this is going to be CEF that I mentioned earlier, who are also making their way in. Mexico is going to be just to the south of both of these teams, so could be a little bit of a sketchy position if they get too aggressive. But like you said, Canada just playing to build some of that chemistry. So we'll have to see how aggressive they want to get. The Crypto ult going to be used to stave off the push as we see 5-star, our first team eliminated, taken out by a couple of teams, most notably Noct and Circe, able to get 2 early KP.
Yeah, 19 squads already left in this lobby. So, like I said, not seeing too many teams rotate immediately to zone. I think that they're going to be spending their time trying to look for fights instead on the edge. Maybe get a good lead starting off.
Yeah, we're going to tune in with the Avengers on the north side here of Humbert. This is where a lot of our teams so far are concentrated. Nearby, we have JDN, SPS, Nice Guys, as well as Hunt, Kenny, Wave, all in sort of this northern Humbert area. A lot of open space more towards the south. We're going to see some crypto EMPs go off, but I don't expect anybody to get too aggressive, as one early fight could result in a third and fourth party. So maybe just trying to farm some of that early damage.
Yeah, when I look at this zone pool, there's not much Old Town in, right? And so that tells me that this zone is probably pulling a bit more north of Humbert rather than falling back to the silos, like the underground buildings that we typically see a lot of teams get really congested in with our Humbert zones. So it's not a hard Humbert pull, more in the middle there, and is why you see Avengers, Nice Guys, Buckle Boys, all sitting a little bit further up in case that pull doesn't fall deep.
We've got another knock going down in the kill feed as Enemy making his return from a brief retirement, teaming with Funk and Crook. He's going to go down, and it looks like his boys are going to have to dip and go for the reset here. The only problem is they are now running straight into TMX's CEF, have been eliminated. That is Juicy, the collegiate superstar, able to get a couple pieces of KP. Alberlelli getting one as well. But SAS and Nice Guys, they're going to have to play a little bit slower here, as we do have TMX just on the other side of that choke.
Yeah, CEF won and placed first in one of the semifinals yesterday. So, you know, I was expecting to see them come out and maybe can carry that momentum in. Instead, it's got a sting to take a 18th place in a 0-point game coming out here in game 1. Again, with 6 games on the line, there's not a lot of room of error for these squads here. On the flip side, SAS getting some early KP. You know, we got Algs, Skittles, Shuby. That's a squad that can be a little bit of a dark horse, underrated one here for the US qualifier. All right, right now we're looking at Sesame Oil with Fredster, Pluto Route, and A1s. They're trying to back out here as they're getting pressured by Team Canada. Team Canada is literally just out here to play spoiler. Imagine they come out and win here today. They want to be able to just show the rest of the squads that they're actually meant to be here and not just one of the ones that are going to be coasting when our actual land comes. We get our next zone pull here that we're going to take a look at, and as we were talking about, it's looking like it's pulling a bit more north.
Yeah, like you said earlier, a lot of our top tier IGLs probably realizing not a lot of Old Town in, so they are going to be shifting north. Interesting part about these northern zones, not as much playable space as some of those southern Humbert pulls. You can have a few teams that kind of play in and around the Humbert buildings. It's going to be a lot more difficult, I think, to transition from that southern side for teams like SAS, Dream Team, Big Ol' Boys, Team Mexico to make it up into the northern side. As we've got a couple bits of fighting over on the little bit western side of the POI.
Yeah, I think exactly what you're talking about, and these teams knowing that they might not be able to rotate in as easily with that less cover that's there. Some of these teams are starting to take action already and mobilize.
All right, and now we're going to tune into an HGZ listen-in to hear Imperial Hal himself.
You on my roof?
On me. I got a bat. Oh,
Come on.
I'm batting.
I'm taking you down.
See me on me.
Someone's on us. I think we had a team.
On me.
Take a TP. I'm taking TP. Take a TP. It's not a team, I think.
Yeah, it is.
It's fine.
Gallery copter.
What?
Gallery copter.
Unfortunately, that fight not going as well as HGZ would have hoped, but Hal able to escape. That was Team Canada coming in for the third party, and this is the difficulty of this lobby with a squad like Canada here. Having already punched their ticket through, they can play stress-free and just try to build up some fighting cohesion. Like we said, they're playing for seeding, but also chemistry. This is not a squad that will be competing actively together throughout Pro League, so they're trying to get as many fights as they possibly can under their belt, so that by the time that they get to the tournament itself, they're going to be all on the same page. Al able to dip all the way up to the north, should be able to get the reset off as Team Canada going to be going for that third ring information.
Yeah, honestly, I think that Canada is just going to come play Grim Reapers here. Like I said, they were just trying to run everyone down, sitting on edge, it feels like, because they got nothing to lose today. And, you know, I feel like there's going to be some national pride trash talk that comes out. And, you know, got some USA-Canada beef, I'm sure it's going to come out. And they're trying to show these US teams they can ball out with them.
As we tune into USSA, we talked about this storyline earlier. Sleet, Slayer, and Sacred. Interesting, we've got Slayer on the Crypto. They're going to be running the Crypto Seer composition, something that we saw very popular throughout ALGS. That double scan, but most notably for that Seer tactical, just absolutely devastating when you can land it on a player to stun them and prevent them from moving closer to their team. We'll have to see how this team is able to navigate this zone, though, as a lot of our squads have transitioned even deeper into the Humber side.
Yeah, the zone is getting really congested, and there's not a lot of spots left. There's not a lot of teams even on the outside. We only have, like, Nice Guys who are currently getting a revive, but Sesame Oil, they hear this going down. They are weak, but they can rotate and possibly chase down Nice Guys here. I think actually we have Mox walking out here, so we might have quite a bloodbath that might happen right on the edge right now coming up.
Yeah, we've got a handful of teams over on that western side. Like you mentioned, Nice Guys, Sesame Oil, both there. We already saw USSA, Mox, and TMX all on that side, with zone shifting even deeper to the north of Humbert. At some point, these teams are going to have to fight for supremacy of that northern bridge. But as of right now, everything has stabilized. Notably, we did have two TKR, our Brazilian representatives, did get the box revives over at Stadium, and HGZ also got the full reset over to the north of the map as well. You can see that northern zone, Jumba, shifting even deeper north. This is what we expected from that Ring 1 information. Talk to me about what you're seeing in the Send Zone.
I think that your prediction is looking really good with the Avengers sitting in one of the strongest buildings, because there's a lot of space there, and like they're not gonna have to move for a while. You know, Zach Mazer just continuing from what he was calling and doing at Split 1 playoffs. He's showing it again here that he wants to be representing USA. But I say that as it looks like you're getting a fight.
Yeah, I think Team Canada might have just teleported in directly onto them. We'll have to see if that actually results in a fight, and it does. The Avengers are out in 18th. The Caster Curse strikes again.
Caster Curse, wow.
I can't. Oh, that's just. Guild able to get a knock on to Theozen in the top right of your screen as we see USSA gonna be ballooning on in this spot, though. Not going to be the safest without a newscastle as they're trying to transition over to the north side. HGZ versus 2TKR once again breaking out. We saw this fight earlier. Canada rudely interrupted it. This time, HGZ able to come out on top and get a crucial bit of KP.
Yeah, picking up 3 KP there. Now sitting at 4 points overall. Looking pretty good for a start for them if they can find their way into zone. But, you know, crazy that Hal was able to get that reset, come back, and then fight the squad that started it all here. 16 squads left in our lobby now as we go into our third round closing.
You'd see the HGZ did just get sear tacked, though. That's going to be Mox moving up towards their corner, but at the same time, Nice Guys rotating right behind them for that northern bridge. We've got Team Mexico
and TMX
holding out TMX right now. This is the duel to represent Mexico at ENC. A fight win here could be massive for either squad. Yanya already getting the early knock as TMX just trying to out-heal the zone. Enemigo last alive, and that is TMX. All 3 dead and eliminated. Yanya picking up 2 crucial points of KP there as Team Mexico gonna get the early advantage here in game number 1.
Yeah, for TMX, that is the worst way you can go out, unfortunately. I wonder if you even think if these teams are actually looking at where each other are dropping and trying to hold out rotates for that purpose.
Absolutely. Big old boys gonna be trying to hold off against the Buckle Boys themselves. Boys on boys crime. We've got some early damage onto both Chaos and Keon. Sang just trying to stabilize. We also have Koifel and Skeletron taking a fight against Cersei, able to get the full kill. That's going to leave dropped and knocked down to a duo as the fighting's breaking out. You can see that zone shift is going even further north. But interestingly enough, the next ring is pulling towards the western side. It's going to be shifting more towards the bridge as the big old boy is going to be down to just Chaos, last alive.
Yeah, this is where the altar comes in and just the TPing back and forth, which is causing big old boys to be taken down, even as they're getting third party from the outside. They have one of the good spots in this current zone where a lot of other teams are going to have to move, and next thing you know, Riley comes in, takes out Chaos Feelings, and wipes big old boys from the lobby. Team Canada, man.
Yeah, Canada already the early Grim Reapers of this lobby. We've got Juxi solo right now. 4 nice guys trying to push up onto Mox. Not the smartest of decisions. I'm assuming his teammate's going to be holding the altar teleporter to try and pull him back. The question is, can Mox get the wipe before they do? And they are. Juxi going to be eliminated. A bit of a questionable decision here by Nice Guys. You can see in the top left, look at that zone pull. That bridge for Nice Guys, such a powerful position for this end game. And for some reason, Juxi all alone gonna put his team in a very precarious position.
Yeah, you gotta wonder if they're not exactly sure about that zone pull, and if they're thinking they're desperate and not knowing they actually have one of the strongest positions right now. Mox being stunned and having Emote get taken out, so they're in a pressure position now with HGZ above them.
Yeah, wait. They're taking the fight here on the Nice Guys, and this is going to open up the possibility for HGZ to third party. We already have a duo of them moving up towards this. The question is, can both these teams get the reset? You can see Guild and Hal not going to commit as another team able to shoot from distance, as both teams should be able to get the reset on the bridge.
Yeah, HGZ just sitting with that teleporter to bring them back if they couldn't get in there, and Zap safely gets Guild and Hal back. Didn't get the KP they want, but they live to see another day here instead. We got Riley taking down Koi, and Koi taking down Cobra. We got trades in the top again with Team Canada and Skeletron.
Meanwhile, though, we've got Mexico trying to take a fight here against SAS. They already have a knock on Aberlily. Hunt, Kenny Wave, both going to be eliminated. That fight between Canada and Skeletron most likely going to be down to a 1v1. SAS lose out on Aberlily officially. SPS going to be eliminated. But they're trying to send it on to A1s. I think they've identified that he's a solo and they get some easy KP here and maybe secure a good position for the end game. The question is, can they get Aberlily back in the game? They notably do have the crypto. With Skittle still alive, they can try to get the reset here. Good finisher by Shubi to get that confirm on the kill. And SAS actually potentially holding one of the best spots in this zone, as most of our teams are going to be down to very little cover in this final end zone.
Yeah, I think I heard the drone come out where they're going to go try to get Al back. We see Koifel get a knock at the last second, but then is immediately eliminated right after. And we got 7 squads left
so
here.
Tragic. JDN also went down. Zapdo able to get 2 knocks though onto Mox, and that is going to be Mox's game done. HGZ off to a red hot start. My prediction already not looking great, saying that HGZ potentially going to get upset as they're doing really well. Mexico, though, trying to rack up those points, build that lead over TMX in a fight against SAS. On the southwestern corner here, Jaguares with some big shots with the triple take, and they're able to get the wipe. SAS have been eliminated. The question, though, is can Mexico get the reset?
Hal steals one of the kills. He's coming over here. I don't think they're going to be able to. I think HGZ want to show everyone that they are the team to take it here. Another full wipe. Mexico out. They're up to 7 KP, 11 KP, and now we have 4 squads left, 11 alive. If HGZ can reset here and calm it down, it could be their game, because most of the teams on the high ground have to fight first.
Only problem for HGZ, though, they're pinched, caught between a rock and a hard place. Zap and Guild both going to go down. We've got Sesame Oil and Buckle Boys as our final 2 teams. Sesame Oil, though, have lost out on A1s. They're going to be holding the high ground. Buckle Boys on the low ground. It looks like Buckle Boys might be also trying to go for a reset at the same time. Both teams going to be trading resets. Jay able to get the full heal off, and now here comes the push. Buckle Boys sieging on to Sesame Oil's building. Cruel Buckle leading the charge. Big shots with the R99 to open it up. Pluto Reality gets cracked, but Cruel Buckle gonna go down. Jay able to take down one himself. We got a 2v2. The difference is Jay and Delroy both healthy, and this should be a Buckle Boys game number 1, and it is the Buckle Boys, one of the more unlikely teams in this lobby to potentially represent the United States, able to take our first game.
Buckle Boys coming in here. Another story of brothers, J-Dot and Cruel Buckle coming in here alongside Delroar. Have competed in Pro League in the past, and they take your game number 1. What an exciting finish, right? Like, I gotta see what these final points are, because while Cruel Buckle, J-Dot, and the Buckle Boys, they took first place overall, HGZ had 11 KP. That's gonna be a massive game for them to start off here.
At the same time, though, I do wonder if the Buckle Boys are able to get a lot themselves. We saw those fights on the lower side. They're able to pick up 9 kill points, 12 placement points for a 21-point start. But like you said, HGZ only 2 points behind with 19 points respectively. You can see a lot of our Team USA teams inside of that top 10. But the other notable storyline, Team Mexico able to get 7 points. Meanwhile, on the other side, TMX only 0. We're going to keep up throughout that storyline throughout the day. Jumbo, what are your thoughts after game number 1?
I'm looking at Team Canada in 10th with 8 KP.
Yeah.
Another team getting double digits here, finishing outside of the top 5 is wild to witness. And again, when you consider the fact that they don't even need to do well today, it's amazing. Maybe I'm a little bit biased. I'm the Canadian guy here.
Yeah, I did want to mention that in the earlier lobby for EMEA, we had a similar situation with Team Spain. You could have caught them, though, on the multi-view. Make sure, if you want to hear all the player comms, if you want to hear what's going on with Hal, Guild, and Zapdo, maybe even a little bit of arguments going on throughout the day if things don't quite go their way, but then the potential bounce back later, make sure to check out the multi-view. Jumba, I know that you and I both love this thing. I love it for watch parties because all the action that you might potentially miss here over on the main broadcast, you can catch. Make sure to watch competitive Apex your way. Visit algs.ea.com to set up your multi-view. You can pick up to 12 POVs and even watch the map feed, my personal favorite.
Absolutely my favorite way to watch ALGS. You could also throw your favorite streamers, watch parties in there, the main broadcast, or listen to every pro you want. Crazy game we had there. Sesame Oil second, Cruel Buckle and Buckle Boys first. We're going to take a few minutes here for a break, then come back and see what's going to happen in game 2 of our America's ENC qualifiers. We got here the killing blow from the Buckle Boys against Sesame Oil here, just watching it go down, and I mean, that's gotta feel great for them. But what about the fact that you picked Avengers, and the second I start talking about them, Jay, they go out immediately?
Listen, I'm not taking the caster curse on that one. Ultimately, the moment you started saying they were in a great position, Team Canada ints them. But I did want to mention in EMEA earlier, we saw Team Spain. They were in the top 10, only had 7 placement points. I think they had like 30 kills. That could be what we see out of Team Canada today. We saw 2 placement points, 8 KP in that first game. Like we talked about, they're playing for seeding, but they're also playing to try to build some chemistry, try to get a lot of fights. But at the same time, we know some of these Apex players, they just like to fight. So when they don't have that same stress level that everybody else does for our Mexican or United States teams, they might just start inting some people. And unfortunately, it was Avengers and a couple other squads that caught the bad side of that in first game.
I think the lobby's lucky that I believe Blinkser is out for today and Cobra's filling in for him, because if you watch that guy in scrims, he just absolutely sends squads. And once Wraith comes in, I know these teams are afraid of his kidnaps. I know these teams are afraid of these kidnaps, right? If we wanted to just quickly go over the scores here again from match 1, the match results. Before we go to match 2, we got Buckle Boys who won with 9 kills, 21 points overall. Sesame Oil took second, so they're coming in with 11. HGZ, that's Imperial, Hal Guild, and Zap took 19 overall. Nice guys with 7 points. Team Mexico starting with 7, killing TMX on top of it. So they're 7 points ahead of that second spot for them. Then we got SAS at 6 overall, all the way down to Team 9 with our USA squads, all about 2 points apart. So still lots that can happen here. It's only game 1. This is going to flip on its head 2 or 3 times for sure.
Absolutely. Only game 1. Obviously, you know, sometimes you get a good ring pull, sometimes you don't. So if you're one of those squads that didn't have a very favorable zone, you can try to adjust for this next one. At the same time, though, we saw this lobby is aggressive, and you got to be ready for those fights. We saw Team Mexico putting some pressure onto Nice Guys from the moment that essentially they landed. And so heading into match number 2 here with an altar ban, we know that E-District historically alters playground, but I think that just goes to show how aggressive this lobby is being. Usually in the ALGS, we get crypto bans, we get seer bans. Alter makes it deep into some of our lobbies, but our teams are wanting to fight, and Alter one of the best characters at doing so, and so she's going to be banned going to game number 2. How do you think we adjust heading into this game with no Alter?
I wonder if you're going to see a lot of those rates come out for the TPs instead. I believe it was a tie. I didn't. It was more of just an observation. I didn't get the exact number, so we're still going to get those cryptos out here. We know, the two of us know how strong crypto is. We've had that discussion several times, so I feel like there's not going to be much of an adjustment other than someone's coming in to fill that altar spot. We're going to get a lot of cryptos and seers coming back in, but that just makes this lobby in terms of recon, getting into fights and everything like that a little bit more unbearable, because we know those EMPs are brutal to go up against here.
Absolutely. We take a look at our POI draft once again. I do want to point out HGZ over at Heights, historically one of the best POIs on E-District. So no surprise that this team is able to perform, especially with the firepower they have. Currently one of the teams that is slaying the lobby. You want to try to avoid running into HGZ early, as 2TKR did in our previous game. But same can go for Team Canada, landing over at Neon Square on the complete opposite side of the map. Another squad that you do want to avoid, as some of our teams are starting to run this lobby down. Jumba, do you think we're going back to Humbert, though? Do you feel like we're going back down south? Or can we maybe expect a more northern pull?
That's what I was going to say. Buckle Boys, you know, on the flip side from HGZ, they come from Old Town, which I don't think is a strong POI in a vacuum, but considering how many Humbert zones we tend to get, it's actually a great pick, and it already worked out for them once, so I'm sure when we see them again, if the pull comes there, we can expect Buckle Boys to be in the mix, and I don't know, I think we're going back to Humbert with that possible.
That would be certainly a storyline, as we put the Buckle Boys in prime position to have another strong game. Imagine that. Imagine we have the Buckle Boys and HGZ as the two battling it out to represent the United States. I'm not sure a lot of people were predicted that storyline, at least one half of it coming into today, but that is how Apex Legends go. All you have to do is perform on the day, and Buckle Boys, a team that is no stranger to having some big performances. We've seen them have some pretty pop-off performances throughout some of their Pro League days. The question for them is going to be consistency, as we see the zone, unfortunately, not going to be pulling towards Old Town, their native POI, but still potential chance that it could be somewhere close.
Yeah, no, we saw, you know, J-Dot with his squad about a split or two ago was leading the split for most of the time in ALGS. So these guys know what winning is like. It's not their first time here, as many would probably think. Instead, they can definitely put up a fight here, and getting off to a good lead is going to be great. When we see the zone here, we'll talk about it. It's going to be kind of in an E-bank area. Yeah, it's definitely that top right quadrant. We see some squads already moving. Nice guys again, starting off to fight early, but we'll see this. It's going to pull somewhere to that top right northeast of E-bank.
Yeah, these zones should be rather predictable for most of our teams. E-bank does have a few playable zones up in that top right that it can be. But we've got Team Mexico. Gyozi getting a knock onto Cody, but that's after Yanya had gone down. Luckily, they're holding the top story of the 5-story building. And Nice Guys are going to have to retreat. So that's an early piece of KP, as well as Cody did get thirsted. And that's another point for Team Mexico. TMX going to have to step on the gas if they're going to want to catch up, especially with this zone pull. Team Mexico in a prime position to get deep into this end game.
Yeah, they're giving Nice Guys no breathing room every game, and the fact that it pulled to E-bank this time just benefited them so much more. Already picking up another KP, moving up to 8 points already this early on. As you mentioned, you know, top 10, there was guys with only 7 placement points. They already have more than that in kills.
Yeah, Nice Guys effectively using the Crypto and Wraith. Use that Crypto to respawn and set the portal so that Cody can rejoin his team into the center of the POI. It's going to be 92 Dream Team that they're popping shots at just to their south. We've got Nice Guys, JDN, Team Mexico, 5-star, CEF, and 92 Dream Team already all inside of the zone. Is Sainu, though. We've got the Avengers in an early fight against our Game 1 winners, the Buckle Boys. And it is going to be down to just Jay, last alive, trying to potentially get away and reset his team.
Yeah, they're running them down here. You see Carter with the port, setting it for his squad as he's sprinting, and he's right on J-Dot's tail, especially since Jay is really low and doesn't have a chance to heal. It looks like it might be, unfortunately, the end for our winners of game 1. EMP comes out, Q comes in, Carter moving up, and that is the last legs for J-Dot. Buckle Boys out. 20.
That is brutal to watch, Jumba. I'm not gonna lie. Like, you've got a crypto drone hunting you, pinging you for the Wraith that is hot on your tail, who's getting the speed boost with her portal as she's chasing you, and then an EMP used to cap it all off.
Yeah,
I mean, it feels a little overkill, but at the same time, get your points. Get your points, Avengers. All right, I hear you.
Overkill is necessary this early on when every single point matters for these USA teams. But now we got, looks like Nice Guys again in a fight with our Team Brazil.
Yeah, 2TKR. Similar to Canada, one of those teams that was kind of being aggressive in that first game, not having to play with pressure, able to be a little bit more loose in terms of the way that they make their decisions. They're going to back off for now, but you have to wonder if this fight breaks out at some point. Both these teams, unlikely that they're going to be able to coexist for long, especially in a lobby like this with how aggressive our teams have been getting. But at least for now, we've got a few teams down just below Team Mexico's building.
Yeah,
I think notably running that Seer Crypto Wraith comp, like you said. I did want to point out, you called out the Wraith as the replacement for Alter. A lot of Wraiths in this lobby. I think almost every single team outside of 92 Dream Team.
Absolutely, yeah. It just feels like the natural progression when that Alter comes out, the next port to rotate your team, keep them alive. But like, as you were mentioning, when you look at the edge here, it looks like about half our lobby is sitting outside of the actual zone. Something that I actually didn't predict. I thought because it was a final and such low chance of getting in, everyone would just be playing safe. Instead, everyone's trying to just pick up kills. Again, Team Canada definitely sitting on the edge, looking to rack up some KP.
Yeah, you know they want to fight when we're busting out the Axle instead of the Wraith. They want that extra firepower. They're going to be heading down towards Skeletron as we might have a fight here. Pretty isolated fight over near draft point. On the other side of the map, though, we've got HGZ and Hunt Kenny Wave. Hunt currently down. HGZ able to get the early knock as Wave and Kenny just going to back off, concede that piece of KP towards HGZ. We do have SAS also walking in for a potential third party here, as now the fight with Skeletron and Canada is breaking out.
Yeah, just taking their angles here. We have Koifel getting a big crack on Cobra. This is huge for Skeletron. to be able to get some more points here, and they definitely cannot be going out to Canada of all teams. They need to make every move count here for them.
Yeah,
Looks like they're taking some time to engage, though.
Looking at the map, I do want to point out we've got TMX walking right behind Team Canada in this very moment. If they overstay their welcome, TMX might be coming up the third party as Koifel able to win the 1v1 of our young roller fraggers. Jelly goes down, and here comes TMX with the third. We've got Cole down to one shot. Riley and Team Canada gonna be eliminated. The question is, can Skeletron escape? Luckily, Koifel in a different position opposite of Cole, so he should be able to run away. As we've got TMX now getting aggressive, picking up some points, trying to claw back that lead that Team Mexico currently has.
Yeah, you know what? I think that Team Canada saw that third party coming in, knew they need to send it. You know, it's good. Koifel is able to get a KP. Vayne and him are split from Cole so they could get out. But it doesn't look like TMX is giving up that much. It looks like they're trying to rotate over and chase them down. Right now, we got, I believe, 18 squads left in our lobby.
Yeah, we move over to the north side of the map here. USSA, Mox, and Sesame Oil, our Game 1 second place team. Going to be all on this northern side, just outside City Wall and Galleria. I'm not expecting any of these teams to really engage. With how many cryptos there are in their lobby, they should all be aware of each other's positioning. As you can see, Slayer able to hit that recon scan, get the information, and Sweet's going to call for that Western rotate. They're going to be heading towards CEF inside of E-Bank. As we're going to jump in to a USSA listen-in to hear Sweet on his grand return.
Ping them? Where? On the spot?
Yeah, like on the
Okay, I think we just come in behind them and just fight them if we need to. Come. If we fight this team right here, that team will third. We just fight this other team further.
Yeah. Locked on.
Not ground. One team.
I mean,
Yeah,
you
we
could
just
like
we win the fight for this like platform / rock area in front of us. Anyone close?
Yeah.
We're just constantly looking for it. Energy Bank was really weak. It was like one team like half roaming it.
Honestly,
But I don't. We have no idea. We have no info on what's south of us. Rising to our right.
That's probably them.
Looking to take the spot.
One team.
Do you got that south even?
Yeah.
Grabbing that.
Probably behind
Well,
us.
this was the actual team moving.
Yeah,
in.
someone looks behind you guys, so I'm getting this Evo.
Crafting one back.
Third team in E-Bank telling us to come. Like
There's one team in E-Bank kind of like roaming around. We're holding this right now and chilling.
Maybe, yeah.
Team of this build right here. Grabbing Evo.
USSA with some good informative comms. As we can hear, they're going to be playing this southern choke. Notably, we expected it to be a little bit more of a northern pull jumba over inside of Energy Bank itself. It's actually going a little bit more south, which could benefit teams like USSA.
Yeah,
Squads that could be benefited. We've got the Avengers, SPS, HGZ, and Sesame Oil all dead center of that next zone.
Zap getting the pick onto Sykes into the kill feed. So HGZ going for more KP here. They already had the one on Huntsman earlier, and it looks like they're picking up more again. We'll see if they get that full kill. But as you're saying, yeah, it's pulling south, and it's something Sweet even mentioned. He said that the south of E-Bank is pretty open, pretty weak, and that's good for them right now, while a lot of these teams are still sitting onto the northern side of E-Bank instead. So those rotations are going to be huge for these teams on the edge.
Another squad that we watched earlier, TMX, able to get some early KP, currently being held out by the big old boys. We're going to be going for a little bit more of a southern rotate back into draft point, which could bode well for them. If they go a little bit too far, they might run into Team Skeletron, who notably did get the reset back onto Cole, as they're also moving in towards that similar choke just from the opposite side. As we peek in on that map, and there you go. Look at that zone, and our second place team in this lobby, HGZ, have most likely gotten that third ring information and have pinpointed this, playing underneath that bridge. They have set themselves up for another strong game, as that bridge often one of the strong positions in this zone. But we've got the Avengers and Skeletron now.
Camping a port. They don't get the pick, so they take it right away. Dude, this zone's bouncing all over the place. And I mean, they showed us Avengers right after this zone pull. I didn't want to say anything again. To them. Instead, we got HGZ fighting here. Hal takes out 2 already. Guild is down, but it believes it's a 2v1. So HGZ, see if they can clean up this last one with A1s. He's running around. Zap coming for the swing here.
able to get 2 of those thirds. Should be able to get the reset here. The only question is another team trying to int them. I got a little nervous there that the moment I started talking about another team being set up in a god spot for zone, that they would instantly die. So luckily the Cast Your Curse not going to come out there. The Avengers and Skeletron now trading positions. It looks like Skeletron have taken their portal back outside of the wall with the Avengers taking their spot. Meanwhile, though, we've got Team Mexico losing out on 2 members on the northern side as TMX now also trying to fight against the big old boys.
And even Team USSA, they've now moved into E-Bank, sitting from the edge, trying to just secure their position, reset. Looks like they're going to be able to, as Big Ol' Boys has disengaged, but TMX is still sitting on the outside, looking if they can find a third party here as well.
Team Mexico did get the respawn onto Jaguares. It's going to be huge as Sweet with some good damage using that RE45. Use it while it lasts before the nerf comes in tomorrow.
There's kidnaps coming out, as we discussed about. It failed for Sang, but imagine if he grabbed one of them.
SAS trying to make their move up towards Johnny. They're able to get a knock on a 2 of JDN, but Skeletron coming in for the third party behind, and this is not a team that you want on your back. We know the damage that Koifel and Cole can put out, especially led by Vayne on that crypto drone, but Al with some huge damage. Team Mexico going to be limited up in the top right. Nade's going to be popped from Skeletron. Huge damage from Al, but SAS have taken too much in return, and they're going to have to call the Wraith Port to try to get out.
Yeah, it's amazing that they're even to get out of this. Like, you know, they were getting pinched there by 2 squads. They gotta fall out, try and see if they can reset. But I think Skeletron's just gonna be really aggro here, and they are already knocking Shubi as Cole swings in, picks up another one, and you have Alb on the 1 HP. Or sorry, not Alb, it was Skittles.
SAS eliminated Skeletron, now finding their groove, getting some good kill points here. HGZ, by the way, notably did rotate away from their lower bridge spot, which I think has now been claimed by 5-star and is still in the final end zone here. CEF, a team that we saw had a little bit of a rough start in game 1. One of our first teams picked off, have already lost out on Crook, and for the potential reset opportunities, losing out on your crypto, not ideal by any means. The game now is all about surviving and stabilizing. Funk, last alive, his enemy goes down, and it's Hunt, Kenny, and Wave looking to get that KP.
Look, they're looking pretty good here. We've talked about this and set it up as a storyline, and I think it's a possible one, as they had a solid start and looking to pick up some kills here again. As I say that, Kenny goes down.
That's going to be Mox on the other side, able to get that early opening damage. Davis Wabe, does he have the EMP? If he does, and he does, he's using it. Maybe able to hold off the push, but a counter EMP has been used, as it looks like they're going to have to abandon Kenny and concede that piece of KP and play it out as a duo for the rest of the game. Big Ol' Boys versus Nice Guys now breaking out on the southern side of the map. USSA involved in that fight as well, as Slayer able to get a kill onto Sang. There's TMX just biding their time. Team Mexico already eliminated. This could be their game to try to get back into that race with their rivals.
As this fight goes on, CEF and now Hunt, Kenny, Wave both go down. 10 squads left in our game. Leovic, last alive, trying to bounce around. He is down. TMX dead. 9 squads left. Nice Guys pick up the KP there. And we also got Carter on the Infinite, Kraber knocking Cole.
Yeah, unfortunate for TMX, being held out by Nice Guys on your height, and HGZ keeping you on the low ground. Speaking of HGZ, we've got Sweet versus Hal in a 1v1. And it's not going to work out for USSA, as HGZ able to get the wipe. Cyril has been popped. They do have Keon nearby as a solo, but he's not going to push his luck as they try to go for the reset attempt. Skeletron versus Avengers, though, Jumba. These 2 teams have been poking and prodding each other all throughout today's lobby. Let's see if this fight breaks out.
Yeah, this fight could be a fight that determines a potential winner, because they'll have this entire side, even though it's not in the zone, to themselves, whichever team dies here. And as we say that, Zach Major going down, but Carter still got the game changer in the Kraber here. See if they can make it work. The problem is Zach Major being the crypto, it's gonna be really hard to reset. So Avengers most likely are gonna have to play the rest of this game as a duo here.
Sainu, though, now getting a knock onto Zapdo from HGZ, holding the lower area of this zone. And this could resulted in HGZ versus Avengers fight. We've got Carter down, and it's going to be Zainu last alive. He's able to get a knock onto Imperial How, which could open Skeletron up for a huge third-party attempt. That's Avengers dead, but Guild now last alive for HGZ. Nice guys on his height. Inside of the POI itself with Skeletron on the southeastern side. Juicy going to drop down to try to get this kill. Able to try to destroy some of those knockdown shields. Guild, though, one of the best players in the world when it comes to playing as that solo. You know he's not going to make this easy for you. He's going to go for the chow, and it's not going to work out. Juicy and Nice Guys able to get that kill up to 4th place in this lobby as HGZ have been eliminated.
Yeah, these lobbies are so aggressive right now, so inty. It looks like every single fight is potentially turning into a third party, which then runs away and runs into another team and then turns into a third party over and over again. As we have our top 5 going into our ring 5 closing now.
Got 5-star underneath the bridge, Skeletron just above them. It's really unfortunate that 5-star don't have Alter because this under bridge spot is so powerful with the ability to teleport up late. The Wraith can still make it work with a portal through the zone. She's just going to have to take a little bit of a detour to get up top. As we see Koifel going for a Wraith play, just trying to take some space here. On to Mox. Big opening damage with that alternator. They're not going to push their luck. They don't want to overstay their welcome as we have SPS and Nice Guys also on the height. Potential angles if Skeletron overextend.
Yeah, I think Skeletron know they just got to kind of grief here. There's 2 teams sitting in that general area, one inside the building, one outside, and if they can just do enough damage to get them to force each other a fight, which we see happening right now as Cole gets another knock, Skeletron is going to have the strongest position with the height here. And Mox now eliminated.
Mox just in a tough position, caught between both of those teams. Playing their space well. Skeletron now probably in the most powerful position for this end game. The big question is, can they hold off SPS as they eventually have to come out of that door late? The game changer here, though, for both of those squads could be Nice Guys. Do Nice Guys try to stick around on this height, engage with SPS, try to force them into a pinch, or do they eventually drop onto that low ground and have to deal with 5-star? A battle for the low ground, a battle for the high ground. The low ground, unfortunately, not going to be the game-winning position, most likely, so...
Yeah, this is the time when you discuss with your squad, do we go for KP here and maximize our points, or do you try to win the game? For someone like SPS or Nice Guys, that's a conversation that's probably being had right now because they're looking at each other and the zone is separated by one hard light window.
Yeah, and with all the Hemlocks in this lobby, you know that that window is holding on by a thread.
It's faux cover. It's an illusion of safety.
It is not safety whatsoever. The question, though, is this zone. I believe it's ending on the high ground. So 5-star at some point, if they want to go for the win, going to have to make a play, especially if nobody ends up dropping onto them. So far, we've gotten our answer that Nice Guy's going to try to hold up on this high end. This has put SPS in a very precarious position. They're now currently stuck on that window. The moment that door opens, we see the shots from Skeletron. EMP going to be popped. Cole throws the Seer ultimate as a counter. And now the Catalyst Wall used to just try to buy time for SPS. That's going to be Nice Guys, though. They're getting shot by 5-star on the low ground. Psych's now pushing it onto them. That Cat Wall has been a masterclass, but Skeletron just going to push straight through. Nice Guy's going to be eliminated. SPS have moved onto the low ground. They're dead as well. And now we've got 5-star versus Skeletron for the game.
And it's just a waiting game here. You know, though, these guys love to fight on the high ground. Cole. So if they get a knock, we expect them to drop on these guys, right? They might just go in and try to finish this fast.
Yeah, no ultimates for Team Skeletron on the low ground, but they are going to have grenades. Koifel able to get the knock onto Dark. Vayne responds with a knock onto Leafy's. Caden last alive, and that is Skeletron with a monster game number 2, trying to match the Buckle Boys in HGZ after that game.
Yeah, what a game from them. Like I said, when they were over by Avengers on that outside, they may not have been in ring, but that fight opened up the entire side of that zone for them where they had that walk in and they just had to look at what squads they could third party and pick up KP, which I'm excited to see how much they racked up there at the end because it's going to be a lot. That looked like a nuke of a game bouncing back after their first where they didn't have as much as they would have liked here. As we got our points coming up and 14 kills with a 12 points from the placement, overall 26 points from that game alone.
Yeah, that could be huge for this potential race. I've talked about it throughout this broadcast. You don't want to be one of those teams that is playing from a point of desperation later in this lobby. And a huge game like that from Skeletron, that's going to put a lot of squads in a desperate position, because Skeletron finding their momentum like that, you don't want to be a squad that's chasing. That said, right behind them, 5-star with a respectable 14 points, SPS with 13, Nice Guys with 11, Mox with only 7, but then HGZ, our team that picked up 19 points in game number 1, able to respond with a 9-kill, 12-point performance in game number 2, which I think should put them in first place overall. As actually, no, Skeletron currently edging them out by only 1 single point. But the thing I want to point out there, Jumba, these two squads, 18 and 21 kills respectively. If this is how this lobby's going to go, a lot of these teams on the right side of our leaderboard are going to have to start getting a lot more kill heavy, because these squads are frying.
Yeah, you gotta wonder what these guys are thinking. I feel like Hal and then Vayne and Guild for the last like 3 splits have been toe-to-toe of who's gonna take first, and now they're the teams that are leading this lobby by a whopping 10 points, 11 points here. So rest of the squads, I gotta pick it up. I think Nice Guys is another big shout there. They were 4th after the first game. They come in with 11 points, so they're still sitting in that top 5. So again, lots can happen here, but looks we got 2 teams taking a little bit of a lead, a little bit of a run compared to the rest.
And I do want to point out, for that other storyline that we have going on in this lobby, Team Mexico sat at 8 points through 2 games. TMX able to claw that lead back a little bit, now up to 5 points. So only a 3-point gap. A reminder for those just tuning in terms of this format, those 2 squads are the only 2 teams competing against each other. One of them will have to represent Mexico going into ENC, and so we'll have to see who can do it.
And we'll see that in game 3 right after this really short break. We're going to take a look here at the final kills of this game where Skeletron took not only the win here, but the lead overall after 2 games. And I believe that between Hal and Koifel, they have 24 kills combined. I believe it's Koifel 11, Hal 13. Talk about dropping nukes out here between these 2 players.
Yeah, in third place, we have a distant 6 kills for Panic. Obviously, he's starting off well for his team, but it just goes to show double digits for both of those guys. 2 of the premier fraggers in the world. I don't think anybody's surprised that they're performing this well in a lobby like this. The question is, who's going to be more consistent? Because obviously, there's only one spot for the United States, and with them only separated by 1 point right now, things could get even more aggressive in these final few games.
As we expected, Crypto's been banned. Good. Send him to the Inferno. That guy, I'm good when games are now going to be a little bit more interesting, in my opinion, because we're not going to have too many EMP fights, not so much information. These guys are really going to have to work hard to find their spots in the zone and to be able to come out with some big points here.
Absolutely. This is going to be our final game on E-District before we jump on over to Storm Point. And I think this is potentially where we start to see that last game of teams playing a little bit more conservative. After the halfway point, you know that squads who are really far on that leaderboard might be like, all right, guys, this just isn't our day. We're not getting zone pulls. We're not getting ring consoles. I know there was a lot of complaints about that on the MEA side. So maybe we just have to start fragging out like Hal and Koifel have been. We'll have to see where the zone ends up going. We've had a more central one. We've had a southern one. Do we get a northern pull for the fans out there? I'm sure that Team Mexico would love that one, as would Mox, 2TKR, some of our teams on the northern side of E-District.
Yeah, I feel like it's been a while since most of these guys have gone and played in a final that was only 6 games. So, you know, the reason we're seeing so much aggression out here is likely because they know there's not a lot of time to bounce back if they don't get points early on, if they don't drop those nukes like we were talking about. So, you know, that's why it's different than a match point final where you might see some of that slowness come in, because, you know, even if someone gets to that 50-point threshold, there's still opportunity every game if you put it forward, right? Starting off with Skeletron here in Blossom Drive, as we talked before. And I mean, when we get this zone pull, Jay, I think we're gonna find it a familiar one.
Yeah, notably after the Crypto ban, they have swapped the Watson into this composition, so going to be a little bit less aggressive. I know that sounds counterintuitive considering that Crypto has one of your players sitting on an iPad for most of the game, but Watson going to help this team out be a little more defensive, which, considering the massive game they just dropped, not going to be too surprising. That said, the Buckle Boys, our Game 1 winners, have ring console at Old Town, and look at that zone. Now, Jumbo, you did mention earlier in our Game 1, not a lot of Old Town in. That's not the case here in game number 3. Where are you expecting this one to pull?
Yeah, this one does look like it's one that pulls more to that Humber Labs, right where you see Hunt Kenny Wave posting up in the rotating building. It feels like it's that one that pulls back, because there's some Old Town in, but not a lot of it. So just not as much, though, as we saw in game 1, where it pulled to that north, where we see JDN rotating in from right now. And you could even see they're flying in exactly on top of Hunt Kenny Wave right now. They wanted to prove me wrong for game 2 when I said it was going to be a Humbert zone again. I thought it was coming here. Instead, game 3, we get it. A tale as old as time. Some say it's ancient. Humbert and Humbert zones and E-District.
Absolutely. You can already see JDN, Hunt Kenny Wave, the Buckle Boys inside of the zone, but on the far northern side, Mox have lost out on a member early on. That is USSA, able to get that piece of KP. When you see the bad news that the zone's not coming your way, the zone is heading towards Humber, you realize it's time to be aggressive. Sacred just trying to find the rest of the team. Luckily for Mox, they have fully split up. They've got one member inside of Resort, and another has already made his way all the way over to Lotus. The only problem, USSA already hot on the tails of the Resort player, and Sesame Oil are going to be sitting in Lotus. So the reset attempt here for Mox, not going to be the cleanest as Slayer with a big shot. Able to get the knock, and it's all down to your solo over inside of Lotus for Mox to try to get the reset.
The 100 to the head, you know that's got to be devastating. Listen, like, we're not going to act like it's... We know that these guys don't hit shots on zip lines, but immediately one tapping him, that's brutal. Mote had no chance of getting out here. Slayer wasn't letting him go.
Absolutely not. As Renifying, you can see, actually having to leave Lotus. Probably got the bad news that Sesame Oil was still inside of their POI. We jump back over to the south, though. Pretty close to the position you said this game might end, as the Avengers, one of our heavy hitters, but unfortunately have not gotten off to a hot start, despite my prediction. Maybe it's my fault. Who knows?
These
I'll be looking for some early aggression, though.
Don't you think these games are kind of feeling like when we had contests back? I feel like we haven't seen fights start this fast, this many times in a row, in a very long time. Like, we typically get some chill calmness. I feel like as soon as we explain something, someone's fighting here.
Yeah, it does feel like that. Our team, I mean, I'm surprised how fast some of our teams are rotating. Teams are on the move in a lobby like this because they don't want to get caught out. Zainu, speaking of get caught out, catches Zephyr. A team in a strong position here for this end zone, but do the Avengers want to push the pace here? Do they want to try to go for the KP? Looks like no, as Carter just going to rotate, play for position as they get deeper towards Old Town side. And if it does pull more south here, this could be huge for the Avengers.
Absolutely, yeah. This is a team that you know is just going to try to prioritize getting to endgame and then picking up their points later if they can, because as long as you're alive, you can always work with it. You die early, you can't do much with 0 points, right?
Notably, we do have the big old boys and the Buckle boys down on that south side with the Avengers. You go to the middle of the POI, though, and we've got SAS on the northern side of this building. Sorry, SPS, that is. Very confusing acronym.
Yeah.
They're going to be on the top side of this
acronyms.
building. Underneath them is going to be Keon. Or sorry, maybe that was knocked and dropped. Yeah, knocked, dropped Cersei just underneath. Getting that early knock. Zephyr also moving up towards that height. Does he push his luck? Meanwhile, Team Canada, the Grim Reapers of game number 1, put down in game number 2 by that third party of TMX. They're currently holding out Sesame Oil over at Energy Bank and Galleria. Sesame Oil, though, one of our slower paced teams, most likely just going to back off, try to avoid this fight, especially once they see that Axel coming on in.
I'm surprised they're even running the Watson. I didn't think that they wanted a ring console in their repertoire for these games. But maybe they want to get some.
Maybe they don't want to fully
practice with it.
you know? Yeah, let's get some practice playing some real comps. Especially, you know, Blink might get a little mad if we full-on troll without him. But here comes the aggression. A1's trying to escape. Able to take out the Axel ultimate. It's not going to be incredibly punishing damage. But Riley, Cobra, both moving on up. And the question is, can Sesame Oil escape? With that Axel tactical, Team Canada certainly going to have the speed advantage. And they're going to have to be quick here as USSA going to be potentially rotating in from behind. As you can see, Sacred, Sweet Slayer, maybe eyeing a potential third party here, gentlemen.
Yeah, just looking for trades. I mean, our other down teams got reset, so we have a full lobby currently until Slayer is just deadly with this longbow right now.
Apparently.
And wait
Nice
till
wig, the way he
it gets a
can
buff
shoot
coming tomorrow. He's going to be loving it. If he gets that new corrupted attachment on it.
Oh yeah, that thing, that fire rate was absolutely nuts when we tried that thing out earlier. Shout out to the new corrupted attachments, season 30. Back in the game, though, Sesame Oil was able to escape after that third party gets some of the kills onto Team Canada. I think it was Jelly that was able to escape as the solo, which is pretty beneficial considering he is the Axel for Team Canada. So he's going to be going for the reset attempt.
And it looks like USSA is chasing him down.
Riley.
Oh, no.
Yeah, they were just going for the thirst. Jelly's already long gone. I think he's going for the reset over at Edam. On the southern side of the map, though, we've got big old Keon getting knocked by Caden as you take a peek at the zone. Like you said, shifting a little bit more towards the south as the big old boys, unfortunately, going to be eliminated. Our first team dead in game number 3, Jumba, but back to that zone. Like you said, a little bit more south. CEF kind of on that northern side where a lot of our teams were playing in game 1. As you can see, not going to be in the ring 3 information that we have here.
Yeah, we'll have to see. Zone 3 is where it's going to be huge. Skeletron coming in from the outside right now, and it's actually a perfect time to get a listen in on what they're thinking about this upcoming zone.
Yeah, a lot of stands in front.
Team here.
Target spotted.
Longbow.
Blue armor.
The 2 are in here, and then it's just the one guy with the bow. Yeah, top 5 right now. Two top 5. People dying over here.
I think there's a team in the building in front of them too.
There is.
Like, I think it's 2 teams.
What, in the diner as well?
Yeah. I don't think
Yeah,
it's
I
one.
do. I think it is. Yeah, I think you're right.
Vane, can you play further back to me and like start scanning like here?
Yeah, actually. Yeah, I can just watch that with scan.
One HP in 5 sec.
I'm gonna play like up here, okay?
But
Skeletron, as you can see, on that southern rotate, going to be gatekeeping all the teams coming from Shipyard Arcade side. Jumbo, I loved what we heard out of the comms. Koifel already seems like he's ingratiated inside of this team.
Yeah, they didn't give us too much, but they're just looking for their opportunity. I teamed Cole for a creator tournament, and this guy the whole time, he was telling me, not even just for us, for his actual PL team, they just want to fight. They just want to fight. So they know they have a solid position right now on the edge, but if they find an opportunity, they are going to send a fight if it's possible.
Yeah, I'm not sure if Koifel is as much of a psycho as Kurev is in that regard. I know Kurev really just, he sees anybody and he's just ready to go. But, you know, Koifel obviously one of the most talented roller players that we have in the entire world. So I'm sure that the philosophy has not changed in the slightest. We jump over to Team Mexico. One of our most important storylines in this lobby. Going to be on the northern side of Humbert. TMX, notably, going to be on the outside of Humbert. If you remember the team that Skeletron was poking towards early in that listen-in, that was TMX, just holding their northern side. Maybe hoping for a potential pullback. If it does shift more towards the west, then TMX is going to be in a very beneficial position.
And as you see, they have 2 KP already, so they're already bumped up that 10 points, whereas I believe TMX is sitting around 6, so that should mean they got one this so far, but that gap is still just about 4 points. Not that big, but you never want it to spread too much when it's only the 2 teams competing for this qualifier here.
Jump into USSA and Team Canada. We saw that third party early. Team Canada was able to get the full reset, and now they're the ones holding the power position, forcing USSA to maybe focus a little bit more on rotation here. The only problem is just to their south. They've got CEF hold them off. As you can see, they're pinging, getting shot at from that direction. I'm not quite sure how they're going to be able to navigate this one, though. They do have Sacred on the Wraith. They can open up some big damage on a CEF. Question is, do they want to aggress upon it? It looks like so. Sacred going to use that Wraith portal to close that gap. Well, we might have a fight break out here. The question is, does anyone want to third party this thing?
Yeah, with 25 seconds left in the timer, this is where action has to come up for our squads. Big vert nade, but they take it back so they can heal. As Slayer and Sweet are still aggressing, looking for CEF here if they can capitalize on some of that nade damage. Sweet with a good flank. Oh, but he shoots through the wall thanks to the Seer Q. So he starts falling back instead, losing his surprise factor there.
Great awareness by Crook to realize what was happening, because that could have been devastating if Sweet was able to get the opening knock, but instead it's Funk able to get the knock onto Slayer. Sacred with the TP behind, trying to get the kill onto Crook, can't get the refrag, and now he's trying to take the 1v1 against Funk, but CEF have played this masterfully. The breach charge comes out from Sacred, and that's a refrag. Sweet able to get the knock on a Crook as well, but enemy versus Sacred in a 1v1, and that's Sacred who able to win. And there's nobody coming from the north. USSA able to potentially get the reset here as zone's gonna close.
The immediate flank right after from Sacred was just so strong for that squad to allow both him and Sweet to 2v3 in what looked like a tricky situation for them once they got started there. 17 squads, 50 players left alive here as Ring 3 is about to close.
TMX versus Mox in a fight right here. TMX with the opening kill, but Enemigo goes down. Gatto with some huge damage taken as well. And that's Team Canada coming in for the third party. This could be disaster for TMX, considering that gap that we talked about with Team Mexico. They cannot afford to die here, but Canada, we know that they are looking to be aggressive, and TMX just trying to escape. That's 2 down. Gatto last alive. And that's Skeletron coming with a potential third party, and they're now trying to get the wipe onto Canada.
The third party may save TMX here, where they're going to be able to get at least one reset, unless they have the awareness to go for the knocks here. Dropping down, Riley goes down. Cole putting out some big damage. Getting shot in the back, though. Now, next thing you know, Skeletron resetting, and Team Canada might have another reset on their hands instead.
A team shooting from the south is actually TMX, who I think have been able to use the Axel Qs to get a reset over here on the south, as you can see. And Skeletron now going to send it on to Canada just on the north, which opens up the reset for TMX and maybe a potential rotation. Skeletron, though, like you said, this team wants to fight, and fight they shall. Team Canada get wiped with a quickness.
Team Canada down. The double reset is not what I expected. I thought only one was going to get out, but hey, those Axel Qs came in huge there for TMX. Live to see another day, especially as they're climbing in those points as we discussed and closing the gap in on Team Mexico.
This is a potential big moment for TMX. The rotate here are going to be difficult. As you can see, that zone is shifting more towards the eastern side. Zainu, unfortunately, going to lose out on his life for the Avengers. They will be down to a duo. That's 5-star getting the knock, and TMX are heading directly that way. Buckle Boys, Avengers, 5-star, all going to be fighting for this south side. And the bad news for each of them, SPS is the ones that are potentially going to hold them all out. Avengers able to get the box revive onto Zainu. Shout out that feature. I'm sure a lot of our pro teams very happy about that one. We'll see if this rotate can hold off. I'm not sure about this spot, though, without a Newcastle jump.
Yeah, the thing is like in general, this zone with about 15 squads left, some are dropping in the kill feed, there is not much space or cover to play. And especially when the characters that are being used for defense are just Watsons, you're going to be shot at by a lot of different angles. So it's probably the best opportunity they have, but not the best opportunity they want.
We've got a pile up here inside of our main Humbert building. USSA have been eliminated, but we've got the Avengers, Skeletron, TMX, Team Sesame, and the 92 Dream Team all in this building. As you see, 2 of them have already been eliminated. We talked about before the set even started, this thing was going to turn into a bloodbath, and this exact fight is the reason why. Luckily, so far, most of our teams have been thinned out. The question is, can anybody survive as we get deeper into that end game? Skeletron gonna send it now onto Fredstar, who's able to get the knock onto Vayne. Coldo trying to get the refrag, but Fredstar able to kill Koifel as well. Fredstar going huge.
Everyone is
that Skeletron down to
might
just
be able to do
Koifel.
this.
Or sorry, Cole.
But it's just too much. They have the Watson pile and allows them to heal. That's not ideal for Skeletron because HGZ is still alive here. As we say that, we're getting into a fight between them and Hunt Kenny Wave.
This is going to be on our northern side. A little bit more of an isolated fight than some of the fights that were happening inside of the main Humbert building. So I'm not going to be surprised to see HGZ get incredibly aggressive here, especially as that wall is rotated to give them a little bit of cover. Davis Wave taking some early damage. Guild inside of their building as well. Things really sketchy here for Hunt, Kenny, and Wave. But Hal down to 1 shot. Going to have to play a little bit more safe. As we jump back over to the building, we've got a huge fight. Team Mexico versus TMX. We've talked about this storyline. TMX down to just Gatto. You mentioned in game number 1, this is worst case situation for either of these squads. If you're going to die, obviously that's not ideal, but giving the other team KP, not good for TMX, as Team Mexico now looking to prioritize that rotation in this end zone.
TMX goes down. Honey Kenny Wave also goes down. And you got to wonder with so many squads in the lobby how they're running into each other. 2 out of the 3 games so far. Not ideal. And that's going to let Team Mexico start gaining a bit of a lead here.
Yeah, Mexico have lost out on Yanya, unfortunately, on that rotate, trying to set a Wraith portal for his team. Not going to be successful. The nades coming in. Jaguares just trying to stabilize, trying to play his life, but it's the Buckle Boys on their height, able to get the knock. Here comes Pluto Reality from Sesame Oil. HGZ also teleporting in. We've got a little bit of a cluster on this northwestern corner as Team Mexico, SAS both eliminated.
Yeah, it feels like it's almost free for SPS. They're the only ones sitting where the zone's going to be pulling next, as everyone has to fight in these buildings here. Sesame Oil looking down at HGZ, who are just pinned on the other side of this pipe. It's probably the end of them on the next chance that they have to move.
About 30 more seconds, and hopefully, I don't know if they're going to be able to get that Wraith portal back, especially with 2 TKR trying to kidnap one of them. Weren't able to get it done.
And the Syracuse that just keep coming over and over. Even if he does get it, he might not be able to pop it.
Yeah, I don't know how they survive this. This should be HGZ's game done. That's going to be JDN, as you can see on the height, just staring down, waiting to get this KP. They've got the Kraber cam as well. Zephyr missing some shots here. Have unfortunately burned all of their nades. with so many of these squads, like you said, focusing on the north, surely this has to be SPS's game to win, as you can see on that map, holding all of the southern side.
They got the mantle boost over, but it doesn't work for Zap. He goes down. Hal's last alive. As our zone begins to close, we have 5 teams left in this lobby. We'll see how it unfolds here. And Hal's possibly going to even get the reset on Zap.
I'm a bit surprised that JDN haven't just dropped down and popped some damage here. You can always raid Q away, Zephyr. You don't want to play too
wonder if
aggressive,
that's
though,
where
with 2 TKR nearby.
Finally, Zephyr does make the push, but he doesn't go for the full fin thanks to the knockdown. I was going to say, I think that's where you might see some of the inexperience compared to teams here just wanting to live and play their life longer. But it also could be valuable for them instead, you know? You could get a lot more here to the top 5 points. Placements.
HGZ eliminated. Sesame Oil, JDN, 2TKR, and SPS all still alive. Panic. 3rd place coming into this game in terms of KP. He doesn't have any kills to his name right now, but he's looking to get some as Pluto Reality. Gonna go down to his R9, but Panic, you don't want to overstay. You're welcome. Gonna have to back off here. Use that Seer ultimate double jump. As the fight gonna break out on the north. 2TKR, JDN engaging with each other. Sesame Oil just trying to stay alive behind the knockdown shields. 2TKR go down. That's Panic once again getting a knock onto Johnny. JDN have been eliminated, and SPS are our winners of game number 3.
Yeah, that looked like shooting firing range targets for Panic. He was just sitting on the wall, watching every team fight, and cleaned everyone up. They went from, I think, 0 KP to about 6 at the end there, and SPS take your game number 3 in our final game for E-District.
Yeah, another one of our heavy hitters, Jumba, that have woken up. Obviously, we saw this squad known as Team Liquid in Paris. Zero, though, Australia, not able to team up with his teammates. So we have Sorcerer stepping in, who had an incredible year last year with Rock Esports. Still trying to potentially see some news on what his future team's going to be. The rumors are maybe it could even be this squad. But as we check the match 3 results, SPS with a 19-point game. Sesame Oil going to be in second with a respectable 13. JDN, though, gets 16 points as well. So once again, the kills kind of concentrated up inside of that top 3. I do want to bring your eyes down, though. Team Mexico and TMX, both solid games from them. But you can see Team Mexico continuing to edge that lead out even further.
Absolutely. Some other things here that we're looking at. Sesame Oil with another 2nd place. You got HGZ dropping another 7 points. Then we had all the way in 12th, Team Skeletron. It's only 4 points, but considering their lead that they had before, I think we're going to see a very close lobby here. And as that comes up, like I said, HGZ takes first overall with 38 points. SPS jumping up to 37. Skeletron with 36. And next thing you know, our top 3 teams are separated by 2 points overall. But Buckle Boys are close by in 4th, and Sesame Oil in 5th with 24 as well.
Yeah, I really start to feel like, and I've mentioned this before, as we're about to head into Storm Point, this is when our teams are going to start to get desperate. If you're outside of that top 6, where you've already got 20 points, those teams feel like they're definitely still in it. If you're on the bottom half of that leaderboard, where you're still in single digits, it's time to wake up, because we know that some of those squads, SPS, HGZ, Skeletron, these teams, they're not going to give you any breathing room, so you're going to have to wake up now, or it could be your run over.
Especially like we talked about, the Storm Point's going to be a whole different ball game. We're going to talk about that a little bit more in just a moment here after this quick break.
Slaughter is upon us. Blood is spilled, and so it begins.
War mode, first off, I'm here. Second off, everybody shut up. Three things to make clear. Y'all forgot what's up.
The gun is the tool.
I'm on 5, I'm on top 5. Ain't no 6, man, we all right. I roll a 7 with 2 dots. 8, this beat is 2 5.
The hunter is the weapon.
Hit some, flip some, trick some, war mode.
The gods have spoken. My time is now.
Warriors who wanna feel this time to die. Warriors who wanna feel, go to the sky. I put the crown on my head, I wear the scars on my chest. Yeah, take all the queens and bishops and knights like we playing chess. Warriors who wanna feel, go to the sky.
I am Bloodhunder, chosen hunter, beast of slaughter. They will learn my name once more.
Season 30 of Apex comes out tomorrow. We had the chance to try it out today, actually, though, and see some of these updates, read the patch notes. I think it's pretty exciting. Obviously, there's crazy Bloodhound changes, but I think those corrupted attachments are going to be the big game changer for this season. Jay, what did you think was the most interesting thing from the patch today in the preview?
I think obviously the invisibility, the most eye-catching thing, but man, those attachments, someone go get the one where you can reload quicker with that laser and put it on an RE45, and it looks ridiculous how fast you can reload that gun, especially when you're playing Assault Legends who already get a faster reload. So I think the attachments are fun because what we've already seen, the attachments are obviously amazing. The longbow, like the charge rifle with the stock that allows it to shoot faster. But imagine all the future corrupted attachments that we could also get as it changes up the way these guns work. I'm super interested in that little detail.
Even the stock that gives you the speed boost, it reduces your mag count by like 2 to 3, which I don't think is a big hit, but it stacks with like Maggie speed boost with pistols or with a shotgun. So you're just zooming, sprinting faster than sprint speed with guns out equipped. It's going to be game changer. I think even for comp, we'll see that's going to be a really big mix up like when we got amps introduced.
Absolutely. I know also a lot of people complain about that R9 clip. You can get an extended mag on that thing that gives it 10 extra bullets all of a sudden. Imagine people running around with 30 bullets in an R9. That's scary.
Yeah, I am excited to see. I feel like a long range meta is coming in, though, with that corrupted stock and the way that the G7 was hidden.
Absolutely. Could be. All right. Well, we have a couple tweets here that I personally would like to bring up. We've got our friend Wyatt Bab bringing up, this guy Jumba might be a bigger jinx than me. He's caster cursing everybody right now. And listen, I didn't want to say it while live on the air, but I have to agree. I mean, listen, Jumba, I pick the Avengers to win, and immediately you call out they might be in God spot and they die right as you say that? Like, what's going on here, man?
Did we already forget that Skeletron is currently 2 points out of first place, and that was my team that I tweeted out just before this as the team to take it, thanks to Wyatt's jinx. If you guys don't know the lore, Wyatt, every team he says is going to win something immediately comes in last place right after that. On the flip side here, we got Monsoon. You know, he's not playing at ENC, but he said he'd be excited to coach here. If you want an old man, he just turned 28. And so, yeah, what do you think the value of coaches are for a team, Jay? Like, give the viewers some understanding of what a coach's role is when they join a squad and how valuable they can be.
First off, I'm 28. I reject the notion that we are old men. All right, let's calm down there, Monsoon. Maybe in Apex you are, but all right, calm down. I think that Monsoon would be an incredible coach. Obviously, he has a deep well of knowledge when it comes to the game, so he can help you build out macro, he can help you fix mistakes. But at the same time, a big aspect of coaches, especially on LAN that I've talked to, is they understand that a lot of the work when it comes to coaching goes in behind the scenes before game day. It's figuring out your mistakes. It's trying to help everybody improve as players. But when you get to that game day, the coach trying to emotionally regulate everybody and make sure that we are still in a good mental state. We're heading into these next 3 games, and there's a lot of teams that are on the second half of that leaderboard that are looking to have some huge games, and maybe things haven't gone their way. If you start tilting about no ring console or bad zone pulls because you were all the way up north and you didn't get the Humber pulls, that could set you up in a position where you start making mistakes that you wouldn't normally make when you have a clear head on Storm Point. And so that can be a coach's value. I know that, for example, Don for HGZ, that's something that he is renowned for, is being able to keep the chemistry of the team. And it's something that I think goes incredibly underrated because we've seen super teams fail. And so sometimes you just need a coach that can, keep everything stable.
I was going to make that point, especially about Dawn. Land-winning teams have literally attributed their land win to their coach being able to keep the vibes good and keep everyone on focus to what the big goal is. Now, we've been talking about how that top 3 right now is separated by 2 points. With 3 games left, we know that those are the guys who we got to be paying close attention to because they're gunning for the win. Saw similarly in Apex South how close it could be when we had Pricey, Sharky, and Legacy in the lead originally, and then finally right at the end we had Hand of Anubis with Zero, Waltzy, and Jen Burton sneak it out by 1 point. You see in 5th and 6th there. It was very, very close, and that's what a 2-point gap means at this point in the game.
Yeah, I feel like this lobby, for the most part, was pretty chalk with China and No Name and Crazy Kong. Then you have Thailand with Asia. You have Primus Commando with Strafing Flame. Like, these are the guys that we expected to be there. That race for Australia, like you said, was the really tight one. And even behind those teams, you saw Roth was not too far behind throughout the rest of the lobby. So there was kind of a handful of squads that could have potentially taken that spot. And it came down to that final game. If that we've talked about just trying to keep your mentals. I know Draugr, a very impactful coach in that regard, especially when it comes to Zero and trying to calm down maybe some of the atmosphere when things aren't quite going their way. Maybe he was able to help that team stabilize heading into that last game.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you're just tuning in here, you're looking at this graphic. The TBDs under the Americas is what we're focusing on for this set. Those last 2 spots are going to Mexico, which we have Team Mexico and TMX, the only 2 squads in this lobby that can qualify for that spot. And then the last spot is for the USA position, with 16 of our teams currently gunning for that, with HGZ, HAL, Guild, and Zapdo currently in the lead by no more than 1 point over 2nd place. Let's take a look at our POIs here, though, going into Storm Point. As Jay mentioned at the beginning of the broadcast, teams prioritized this year. You see the top 9 picks, and even the 11th, all went to Storm Point. Jay, why do you think teams were taking that approach?
I mean, first off, E-District obviously a more balanced map, so nothing surprising there when it comes to teams prioritizing Storm Point, especially with no Tridents now in the mix. I feel like Storm Point a little less balanced of a map. But you can see 13 of the 15 first picks were on this map, but I think it goes to show this is where people know that the money is going to be made. Ultimately, if you want to qual, it's not going to be done in the first 3 games. It's got to be done in the last 3. You might be in a bad position now, but we've seen other teams claw their way back up and steal that qualification spot in other regions. Or maybe you're like some of these other squads where you try to hold on through those final 3 games, like we saw over in EMEA with Jans and his Great Britain squad able to narrowly hold on in that final game. Storm Point's going to be the make or break for a lot of our squads.
Yeah, and our Game 3 winners, SPS, already, they're dropping. They had the first draft overall here, seed coming in, and they're at one of the strongest POIs in the entirety of the game, Lightning Rod. It's great for Edge because the loot you could get, the kills you could find, but the other thing too is that if the zone pulls up here, it's very hard to move north on Storm Point with that high elevation. So if they get a zone pull coming their way, it could be very valuable for them to find their opportunity to extend their lead and then pass first place, especially when you got HGZ sitting on the southern side of the map.
Absolutely. I do want to point out too, Sorcerer, no stranger to IGLing from Lightning Rod, did so at the midseason playoffs, his best performance ever. That said, you can see, you mentioned the zone pulling up north. We are going far north, north of the wall itself. Big old boys have already rotated to the capsule buildings, where SAS, also from Zoo Station, going to be trying to hold that upper zip line, sort of outcropping of boxes. Not really much of a hold there, but decent to play to try to get into that end game. You can see Skeletron, nice guys, SPS, JDN moving quickly, But the thing that I really want to point out here, Jumbo, we've got TMX and Mexico, Team Mexico that is, at North Pad and Trident right next to each other. So far in this game, nothing is broken out. TMX already on the early rotate. But if we get a far southern pull in any of these future games, does that fight break out at some point, especially if TMX get desperate as they're currently the ones behind Team Mexico?
I'm so wondering if that draft from Team Mexico came out second, because without the Trident there, that Trident position is now much weaker. So you think you would go for like the North Pad pick first if it was TMX. Either way, that feels like it was intentional to try and get it done and over with first. We got TMX already looking for some shots here in wall, but the big thing I want to focus on here, just as we got this early game, is actually this position up here and to the right where we saw SAS go to. That is typically in these zones the strongest position and the team that either gets like top 3 or wins the game. So SAS, SPS are going to be the 2 teams to really watch here, because if a fight breaks up between them, that might be your game winner right there.
Yeah, JDN going to wisely back off. Unfortunately, they are going to be currently split, but should be able to regroup, as I believe it was Johnny that went on the hike and just dropped down. Skeletron, though, have notably moved up right behind SPS. So we were talking about that potential fight. Team Mexico, instead of rotating towards zone, they're looking to potentially get aggressive once again, and that's with the baby comp. They're willing to forego an early spot in zone, get those purple armors, maybe get some KP along the way, and then launch yourself into that end game using the Valkyrie ultimate. Hunt Kenny Wave, the squad that temporarily walked up on them, but they're going to back off after they see the shots from Team Mexico.
Interesting to pull out the baby comp this early with Maggie still in the lobby, and like I'm seeing a lot of Maggies to the point she might even be the next ban. So I think that Team Mexico might be a little bit concerned when they get to that final lobby. If a lot of Maggies focus their bubble, focus their wall, they might have a hard time holding out. And
Maggie is the next ban. So that's going to be big for all of our baby comp teams. I expect to see that a lot in game number 5, but TMX able to get an early pick onto Thalys from 2TKR, our Brazilian representatives. We're not going to have to back up inside of the wall, but TMX want to get aggressive here and get this KP to narrow that gap with Team Mexico. And there goes Theo. He's going to be down. Last alive for 2TKR is going to be Keepstar.
Yeah, TMX is looking good here when they're trying to find KP and just inch their way forward. They're fighting well. And again, going back to even that baby comp, I think that could be a concern for Team Mexico if they find a way to live long enough here. Team Mex, I'm referring to. Team Mexico might be in for a run for their money, because that gap was only 5 points and these guys already got 2 kills.
Wait, Keepstar with the juke onto TMX. For some reason, they sent all 3 on the cannon. Usually you leave a guy on the other side in case he goes back.
This time they did. They might have heard you.
Up, but now the sketchy part is that Team Mexico heard all of the commotion going on here. Keepstar most likely going to go down, but can he grief TMX? He's frozen midair. What just happened there? The punch is going to come out.
But he might still win the fight.
And that's 2TKR eliminated. But now we've got Hunt, Kenny, and Wave coming up for the third party. Buckle Boys, though, in a fight on the northern side at the tunnel against JDN and Team Canada walking up for the third party here.
Buckle Boys gotta try and find a way to try and live here. They're not gonna have Humbert to bail them out again. Unfortunately, they get eliminated immediately. Yeah, thanks to Team Canada coming in for the swoop there. The Grim Reapers, even if their last 2 games weren't as hot as their first.
On the southern side of the map at Jurassic, we've got CEF and USSA in a fight. Sacred down to 1 shot, but some good opening damage from Sweet. He's able to get the knock as well. Sacred gets refragged in a 2v2. Sweet, Slayer versus Crook and Funk. Axel ultimate is going to be used, not going to be destroyed. Sweet takes the crack, but still able to avoid the launch.
Fight's drawing out just a little here. They're gonna want to try to get Sacred back. He's definitely their prime guy for picking up kills and trying to swap. I say that Funk swings in, drops Slayer as he goes for the reset. Sweet's gonna be sitting on the height alone, and I think it's just about matter of time where CEF approaches them. It feels like we have a lot of the same squads fighting every game, because they're the squads that fought last game.
Yeah, very confusing mistake there by USSA. Allowed CEF to get the reset, and that was happening the whole time they were just going up that tower.
Yeah.
It was like they should have recognized what was happening and either gone for their own revive earlier or tried to get out. Instead, they take far too long. And that allows Funk to just swing with a well-timed push. That is USSA dead. HGZ, though, our first place squad currently, the favorites to represent the United States. Going to be in an okay position for this next zone. The problem with these as it continues to shift more north for late games is how do you make that cross? As you can see, Nice Guys, the team that is currently trying to gatekeep them. Not a lot of cover, and then eventually some team's going to walk up on your north side. As you can see, the shooting already raining down. That's going to be Team Canada. But we jump back over to the wall as Team Mexico, TMX. Opposite buildings from each other. Can't quite engage, though, as Sesame Oil going to be down just to their south.
Yeah, these teams just trying to get in and survive in wall, but you know, even the zone is still going towards that platform up at the top where, and the nuts on the lower part where Big Ol' Boys and SAS are sitting. So, God, I wonder what those guys are thinking right now, just trying to figure out how they can stabilize and defend any squads that might jump on them when the next zone pop comes and everyone sees that they're not in.
Absolutely. I'm very interested in this Team Mexico TMX position here. TMX currently are actually going to be alive in Ring 3. The problem is that Team Mexico will not be, which might result in a fight. But here comes the push from the north. Jelly and Team Canada aggressing on to HGZ. Hal, as the Wraith, going to be able to back off, but he's going to start getting shot from the wall. That's Sesame Oil, TMX, and Team Mexico that we talked about earlier. This is going to be a very difficult position for Hal. He can thread the needle if he can make his way south towards Command Center. Problem is he's going to have to wait for that Wraith queue to come back up.
Yeah, and with how many teams are in the center of this zone here, and some of the characters that are easier for resetting currently not being played, like if we don't have a lot of baby comps, don't have the crypto anymore, it's going to be hard for Hal to get his squad back in. But it does look like Team Canada left. They're just trying to send for fights. So if Hal recognizes that, he might be able to port over once he gets it and get his squad back in the game.
Further on the north, at Zoo Station, we've got JDN and the Avengers. The Avengers squad that a lot of people coming in, including myself, had as one of these heavy hitters. Unlike Skeletron or HGZ, have not quite woken up yet. Zainu gonna be cracked with some good opening damage. Carter and Zach gonna try to take the height here. Zach with an ill-timed Maggie ball. Little does he know, JDN had moved up to the height of the building. One of the Avengers' most devastating abilities completely wasted.
5 stars also approaching this zone here, this fight here, looking for an engagement to maybe third party. We'll see if they make any action, but it all depends on if these squads actually fight first, which when you have that high ground, it's typically unlikely, at least for a while.
Problem though is you can see JDN shooting towards SPS. You mentioned that building earlier in the game. A very strong position to gatekeep all of these teams on the northern side coming from Lightning Rod. And so it might not even matter who really wins these fights. Obviously it does in terms of KP, trying to get more points, but SPS in a position to maybe wipe every single spot here.
Absolutely. And if they do, which, I mean, Skeletron's even sitting out here, but they have the option of going through the tunnel, it could just be a lead extender for SPS here, right? Like, there's 2 ways to get points. If they know they can't get into that final zone, they're just going to look to clean up as much KP on this outside as possible.
Yeah, Zephyr overextending. Looks like he was a little confused on the location of his enemies. Maybe a bad call by his team. Distract now trying to hold off as Zainu able to get that full kill, but the Avengers trying to push the pace here. Zach with a devastating drill. Zainu gets the knock. It's Johnny last alive for JDN. Carter goes in for the kill, but he gets knocked. And this is not good by any means because you talked about it. 5-star could be coming in for a third party. That's the wipe onto JDN. But the question is, can the Avengers get the reset here as Dark? Maybe pushing up by himself.
Yeah, it looks like 5-star hesitated just a bit too long here. Maybe not recognizing the knocks immediately going down. They still got in here, and Avengers only just got the reset. So looks like 5-star is most likely going to get the swipe here. We got 1 running into the zone, 2 knocked. And now it's just time for them to try to clean it up. And then next thing you know, turn their attention to SPS, who is also extending into this here. Just a solo, though.
We jump back over to the south side of the map with CEF. In a position to potentially claim the mythic bin, that is. We jump back over the north, though, and that is SPS. We talked about them trying to gatekeep these squads. They were looking for a potential third party, hoping that the Avengers did a little bit more damage on the 5-star than they did. The question is, does 5-star want to take this fight? SPS wisely going to back off, realizing the positional advantage they do have at their zipline building, and going to force this team to walk outside of Zeus Station.
Absolutely.
Though the Avengers do have a crafter actually at Zeus right now, and might be able to get the reset here, as unfortunately Skeletron, though, just below SPS. I think, are they a duo? Why was there a knockdown? Or not a knockdown, a reset beacon there.
Yeah, I don't know if they just dropped that for cover. It looks like they're porting back and forth. They weren't able to hold their position. That SPS height is too strong. I want to quickly mention in kill feed, HGZ did go down, fully eliminated in this meantime. So we got 12 squads left, 35 characters live with round 3 about to start closing, and our first place team, or second place team, currently not out.
I talked about it here. The Avengers do get that reset at Zeus Station, and they've got 5-star who've now TP'd further to their south and are actually going to rotate down through the underneath area. The Avengers going to have to fly straight over SPS and just hope to find a playable position. Not a lot of spots here that are going to be available. Despite a lot of open space, most of these are not going to be playable in this endgame. As you see, SAS, SPS, Dream Team, Nice Guys already popping shots at them. But yeah, good on them to get that reset.
And they've split up to at least keep their chances of living a little bit higher. If only one goes down in one spot, the other spot's hopefully playable.
We jump into that fight as 5-star pushing in towards Team Canada, and it's not going to go well. 5-star eliminated, CEF also dead. And now we have Skeletron potentially walking in on Team Canada for the third party here. They do get the revive, but here comes the bad news.
Absolutely, Skeletron moving in, you know, with that hard rotate before. Now they're just focusing on this tunnel instead. And it could look really good for them if they're able to win the fight here. And Vayne goes down.
Weeple with some good opening damage onto Jelly. He goes down to Riley. Cole goes down as well. What a fight from Team Canada. Jelly just taking all the early attention with that Axel Q, and his teammates do good damage behind him to get the fight win. That is Team Canada eliminating one of our top 2 teams. As we jump in to Team Mexico on the south side, trying to build this big lead against TMX. Playing that baby comp, like you said earlier, Jumba, so far haven't been punished by a Maggie, but the question is, will they be punished in this endgame? They've got 92 Dream Team, the team that is currently gatekeeping them, but they get a big knock on a Cersei.
Yeah, it might work out fortunate for them that in this game, we only have 9 squads left, opposed to our last 2, where we saw about 15 squads alive in this lobby. So the more teams that are out, the better it holds up for their baby comp in this lobby, because you just want as little Maggies around as possible. So hopefully they could try to find some aggression here on the teams in the nuts, because that would be like their game-winning play.
Here's the sketchy thing. If you're an SAS fan, as you can see them holding the strongest position up on the height, is that Team Mexico running this baby comp. They're not going to know it, but they might Valcolt and just slam onto that height there once this zone starts to close. They're being gate kept very hard by Dream Team, and it's unlikely that they're going to be able to make this cross effectively. And so that Valcolt play could be in the cards.
Again, something else that we kind of started off talking about, like with the current meta way to play Valk, holding God Spot early is not your most ideal situation sometimes if that team spots you, notices you, and thinks that they can just surprise you with a slam.
I jump over to TMX, having to make a similarly difficult cross, but even more so as they're heading straight towards Nice Guys. Leo goes down to Gyozi. We've talked about this before. Worst case situation, you are feeding Team Mexico kills. Getting the revive here, even if you get re-knocked by somebody else, is of the utmost importance to prevent Team Mexico from getting that kill. TMX currently with a temporary reset, and this might be beneficial for them. As you see, Team Canada and Nice Guys both fighting. Team Mexico actually get eliminated. They try to take the fight on to Dream Team, and now TMX may be in a position to gain points.
They were tied just as you were speaking there. I believe TMX might have now actually just snuck out the lead, which is just so important why they can't be dying to Team Mexico. They've done it twice already. If you think you take those out, they're winning this right now at TMX. But we got fights going on the top with Sesame Oil going down to Team Canada again. 14 kills, by the way.
As we have SAS overextending out of their position to try to get the wipe here. They do so, and that's going to be TMX eliminated. But the problem is that SAS maybe could open themselves up to a zone wrap. Instead, it's not going to happen. We've got 92 Dream Team and Team Canada engaging on the south side of the map here. Team Canada with the opening knocks on a dropped and Cersei, and this should be an SAS win to close out game number 4.
Yeah, a casual SAS win with the height. We talked about that right on the outset. That position is way too strong if they can clean this up here. But can we just talk about Team Canada literally rolling everyone right now, even wiping 92 Dream Team?
Yeah, that was the thing that I was scared about with Team Canada. They start to get that confidence, they start to get rolling, and a lot of these squads end up finding themselves on the unfortunate end of their guns. But SAS with a big win. Skittle, Alb, Shubi, I think a team that a lot of people thought could do good in this tournament, but I don't think a lot of people expected them maybe to be challenging for the spot to represent Team United States, and yet they're squarely in the mix after game number 4.
I think they're a little bit of a dark horse, even a wild card squad. You know, Alb and Skittles have had some good success, shown some strong performances in match point finals in our recent lands, and then had some times where they just don't show up. And instead, here they are today. They get that position really strong there, and they get 7 KP with the first place for 19 points to jump back up. Team Canada had 17 kills in second place with 26 points overall. And remember, for people tuning in, they've already qualified. So this is all just kind of for seeding and for fun, almost, basically. Just trying to get that Team Canada mystery, as Jay said a couple times. 92 Dream Team drop 18 points. TMX get themselves 11, so it's huge for them above Mexico, who only got 2, down in 8th, as you see there. SPS get themselves another 5. Sesame Oil, another 5. Nice guys, 4. Avengers with 6, and Skeletron rounding our top 10 with only 2 points there. Jay, tell me, what do you notice about, like, after this game, what do you think the next big thing is we need to focus on?
If you're a team in this lobby that's not already up inside that top 5, you really need to make it deep into these end games, because this is happening routinely where we are seeing teams that are putting up huge kill numbers just by simply making it even a second or third. Once you get that momentum, squads are starting to steamroll through teams. As we check our overall standings, in SPS currently hold first place by only 3 points. HGZ narrowly behind. Skeletron, Team Canada, and SAS round out our top 5. This is that cutoff I was talking about, though. Only separated by about 10 points each, all already above 30. There's still another 3 teams, Sesame Oil, Buckle Boys, 92 Dream Team, who had a huge game in that game right there, who are all still squarely in the mix. Another good game could put them even into first place. But as we look towards the right side of the leaderboard, 5-star, Nice Guys, Team Mexico, Mox, the Avengers. The Avengers, I mean, this I came in saying this team was going to win. I know that we've said maybe you're the caster curse, but I think that was just for one game. What's going on with the Avengers right now, Jumbo?
Yeah, I haven't said anything else about them, I feel. So you can't really come at me for that. But, you know, it's like, that's a team who I think in Pro League has really good dynamic. Carter and Loader have played together for such a long time, and it's not knocking Zainu and saying it's his fault, but these teams only had about a month to get things together and try and make it happen. So there might be just some growing pains here. And again, at the same time, you got some other squads who are coming in, putting up big performances, dropping a lot of kills, and these guys just haven't had a chance to get their footing underneath them. We'll see if they can turn it around, though, in game 5, right after this quick break. Welcome back, everyone. We're going into Game 5 coming up soon. We had SAS with the big win, Team Canada running down the lobby, SPS leading overall. But Jay, we were talking a little bit about some of the teams we expected to do really good. One team being Avengers, who is currently sitting in the bottom 10 with only 14 points. Tell me, what do you think is going on there?
Feels like all the fights that I've seen them take, they feel a little discombobulated. They don't feel like they're fighting together as a team. I feel like in this kind of lobby, when things are getting very aggressive, this plays a little more similar to maybe a Challenger Circuit lobby than it might a LAN finals. And so you can't be as conservative. I think they need to just be 3 up as a team, sending it onto other opposing squads. And yes, it's a little more risky. You don't always have someone holding your back, but I think those are the squads that are performing well, like a Skeletron, for example. We see that every single one of these fights, they are just sending it, and then we'll see what happens on the other side. It's boding well for them. We'll have to see if Avengers can do so on our final 2 games of Stormpoint.
Yeah, roughly 30 points. So it's a tough gap, but in 2 games, if you are under the right conditions, Zach Mazer has dropped 30-point games on land several times before, and we saw, like, again, we mentioned it over in Apex South with Hand of Anubis. They won by 1 point. Crazier things have happened. We'll see what happens here. Again, looking at the POI draft going into Stormpoint Game 5. We had a North Pole last time with SAS, SPS, but what do you think, Jay? Do you think we're going to get something more Southern? Maybe a Barrow Zone for 5-star and Buckle Boys here? You know, we got a lot of the Humberts, so maybe the Barrow comes in now.
I've got my eyes on Northpad and Trident. Team Mexico versus TMX. I'm so interested to see if at any point through this lobby, I think last game, with that gap getting narrowed as TMX had an 11-point performance to Team Mexico's 2, I think maybe that has stabilized the possibility of that happening. I was worried that if TMX had a poor performance there, then Team Mexico might get sent to try to close that gap. We'll have to see, though, if it happens in this game, as things are still tight between the 2. That said, we jump over with our winners of the previous game, SAS over at Zeus Station, benefiting very heavily from that zone pull. Will they get another northern one again?
Yeah, absolutely. Just more on that TMX point, as you were saying, you know, Team Mexico has been leading across the first 3 games, and now I believe TMX actually has just edged them out, yes, by 4 points, flipping it on their head. So still, that storyline can change up here. Everyone make sure that you guys keep that locked in as we get a launchpad zone right on top of the Avengers, as we just had a whole discussion on them. There is some Dev Coast in here, Jay. Where do you think this one's going specifically?
I think this is going to be pulling more towards Devastated Coast. So much of it it feels more likely to go towards that side. That said, where specifically? I would think maybe more towards the southeastern corner. We've already got Mox deciding to play back on that side. USSA moving in early. Notably, this is very good for the bottom half of our leaderboard. The only teams that are in a good position here, Avengers, USSA, and Mox, who are already inside of the POI itself. But right outside that, you can see moving in early, HGZ, Buckle Boys, and Team Skeletron. Some of our teams inside of that top 7 are all also nearby the POI.
Absolutely, and we've been talking about the baby comp. A lot of the teams are playing that now. Gibby is going to be our next ban, so we're only going to see it for 1 game here, but we just know that that means that these end games are going to be a bit wild. The survivability should go through the roof compared to last game, and it means that it's going to be the teams on the edge are going to have their work cut out for them compared to these teams that get early good zone spots here in Dev Coast.
Absolutely. The Avengers, no stranger to these kind of zones. We saw in our LAN finals in Paris, Zach Mazer and Team Vision almost able to get a big win, potentially on Stormpoint in a similar zone. Skeletron taking a fight against USSA. We've got Sweet versus Cole, and that is USSA eliminated, but the Avengers go down as well.
You might need to stop talking about the Avengers.
The Buckle Boys and Mox end up sending it onto them, and now they're engaging with each other. I talked about this. I feel like the Avengers not quite performing as aggressively as maybe they should. It felt like they were poking and prodding, but some of these other squads are willing to just send it.
Yeah, that one's got a sting coming from Launchpad, knowing that they had that zone. This was their bounce back game. The win is slipping from their fingers, and it's going to be very difficult to see what they do in game 6 here. On the flip side, we got a lot of fights there early on. I think teams knew that they could isolate them real quick and take those, as even Sang is taking down Yanya from Mexico.
Team Mexico down to a duo. Going to try to escape onto this northern side. Do have the Newcastle and the Valkyrie. They're being chased by 2 TKR. Big Old Boys, also a squad that was on the receiving end of that damage, lost out on a member, but I think they were able to get the reset and are now escaping towards checkpoint. 2TKR are still in hot pursuit here on the north, on Team Mexico. So things could get a little sketchy, but this balloon rotate should be able to see them and get clear of the... Oh,
Gyozi
make it?
doesn't make it. He doesn't make it, but he does have the Valk.
Oh my, that could have been devastating if that was Jaguares as your Newcastle player, because at least Gyosi's able to fly away safely to the cannon.
Yeah, I was wondering why he was floating in the air for a second, and it's just like, what happened there? But like, it seems like the kind of aggressive fest, trying to pick up kills, playing from behind is starting to happen. Currently, there is only, I believe, 5 teams actually in the next zone, and only 3 of them are really sitting in Dev Coast here. So our whole lobby is on the edge fighting and looking for a comeback game here.
2TKR, you can see, really wanting to get some KP here onto Team Mexico. Will they be able to see that dive trail in time to realize that Team Mexico has gone into the wall as they are in hot pursuit? Looks like they've maybe given up on the chase as they're going to move deeper into wall itself. We do have a couple teams still over at the checkpoint side near Trident, being 92 Dream Team and the Big Old Boys. So Team Mexico could run into some complications. That said, Team Canada, 5-star, a fight that we saw last game as 5-star got absolutely deleted. Or sorry, I think it was Team Canada that got absolutely deleted. 5-star trying to get the revenge.
Team Canada just always hungry. Like, I love that. I want to see this aggression come out actually at the land. That's my dogs right there.
I mean, you know, Blank, sir. He might not be this aggressive, like running it down on edge aggressive, but he'll run it. He'll get in zone, and then they'll run it down.
And then he'll start porting on teams and just killing them all and kidnapping. And don't give him a Kraber, because he went nuts at the last night of that Kraber.
By the way, Team Mexico are able to get that reset onto Yanya, but it's short-lived as 92 Dream Team dropped a little overextended from his team, just popping some shots. Doesn't look like a fight's actually going to break out, but just more so gatekeeping to try to prevent them from coming in towards that north side. 92 Dream Team now heading up towards the wall itself with 2TKR who had wrapped down around their south, so all teams seem to be splitting away. Team Mexico going to go over towards checkpoint, and they should be able to stabilize here and maybe even get the, well, I was going to say third ring information, but I forgot they're playing the baby comp. Let's check in, though, on Team Mexico's comms with a listen.
No ponerte ult. Pues me acerco a los
Nadie,
puntos,
pero
güey,
van saliendo estos.
Obviamente te dejas morir yo.
¿Quieres escanear acá?
Dejas morir a la siguiente, Jorge. Sí, hay que escanear y vamos por los puntos de acá, güey.
No puedo.
Las putas mamadas, está haciendo la gente, güey. Te riego, Jorge.
Espero la Google.
Listen, Jumba, I don't know Spanish, but the comms seem a little down. Team Mexico, a little bit low energy right now. They're still in the mix here. We talked about it. TMX did take the lead between those two teams, but those two teams are the only ones that matter to each other. So by no means are they out of this yet.
Yeah, no, it's close. I think they're just down about how their game started. It even took them a long time to get that Gibby on the blue shield, which is necessary with the dome, the electrified dome. We come over here to Pylon, though, where we see CEF and Team Canada in some action. CEF going out early last game, having a slow start on E-District. They're another team looking to try and bounce back here in this game. And the one team that they don't want to run into right now is definitely this Canada. We see Jelly has the purple plus the overamp. So the armor diff goes to Team Canada right now.
Interestingly, though, we see CEF running the fuse. Could be a little bit of a game changer in this fight. We know he's got a lot of explosive damage packed into those abilities. At the same time, though, Team Canada certainly using a composition that can rival it with their own fuse. This is a weird comp. I don't know how Blinkster would feel about this one if he's currently watching as they're running Catalyst, Gibby, Fuse.
Kind of feels like it's a baby comp counter is all it is. They just want to get in with the bubble and then ult someone with that fuse. The cat, I'm not sure. The cat's for rotations, I guess, actually, if you think about it, instead of
Throw
the
spikes down
castle.
so you can't walk out of your bubble either.
It's a full
CEF,
comp counter, yeah.
Getting the early knock onto Jelly with the mother load. Riley with the refrag, 2v2. That's Riley now down on Cobra, going to be last alive for his squad. This composition might have been a little bit overcooked as Team Canada are going to be eliminated. CEF need to take that fight win and hopefully build some momentum off of this, but Team Skeletron have already walked up and they might try to prevent this.
Problem is they ran into like one of like 3 teams not running baby comp. So like the plan fell apart right there. Skeletron in a safe spot, but I do want to pull some notice to the fact that Buckle Boys and there's only one other team that is comfortably sitting in Dev Coast right now. Buckle Boys, who are sitting in 7th overall coming into this game. You know, some good points here can get them up into that top 5 and into the contention in Game 6.
Yeah, it's a bit shocking, to be honest. I mean, we said this was going to happen in this lobby before it even started, but you mentioned, I think, like 10 minutes ago that there's only 5 teams in zone. If we look at the next ring information, pulling on a Devastated Coast, we only have Buckle Boys, Mox, HGZ, Team Skeletron, and 5-star. Everybody else is still a launch pad or somewhere else, just trying to find a way in.
Yeah,
it's kind of surprising.
I'm surprised because I assumed with 16 USA teams being in here that we would still see what felt like a PL day happen, where it's felt completely out of the ordinary with how much edge fighting we're getting at the beginning of every single game.
I do wonder if this is maybe some of the baby comp where a lot of teams are expecting maybe a launchpad pull. I don't think they should be based on how much of Devastated Coast was in, but maybe that's the logic here, because we've got about 5 or so squads inside of launchpad. That's at CEF. Our early fight winners against Team Canada now have to go against Team Mexico. We're going to get the survey beacon information and probably going to be forced to take this fight against them.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I was going to suggest that too. There's also third ring console in Launchpad. So some of those teams, I believe either Team X or Nice Guys, has the ability to drop a dome on it and try and see where that X zone goes. Or if one team gets it and Valk ults out, we remember what happened to Sapporo. Everyone's going to move when they see this pull going deep Dev Coast right now. No one even in the back where the water is.
Oh my gosh, and that water, I mean, it's still in the next ring information, and
yeah,
it's such a powerful position to get that height. That said, 2TKR in a fight against the Big Ol' Boys. And that's unfortunately their game over. The Big Ol' Boys with a crucial fight win, currently in 18th place on this leaderboard. But if they can turn this into a huge game, they could get squarely back in the mix. We jump back over to Team Mexico. We talked about how no squads are on that southern side, and our teams are already starting to move. 5-star moved into those buildings. Team Mexico launching over the mountain. SPS, Sesame Oil, and JDN all on the move as well after we got this ring full information.
Yeah, this is when the baby comp, like, its bread and butter comes in. They got that scan. It's ring 3 going into ring 4. They saw no one out here, and they know it's probably pulling just off, you know, intuition or at the fact that there's just no one here, so they have no other place. So they go for that rotate over the mountain. And now, next thing you know, Mexico went from struggling, sounding down in that listening, to being in one of the key positions. They just got to deal with 5-star.
Team Skeletron being walked up on by CEF. And these buildings, you don't want to take too much damage, as you do have HGZ on the bridge just to your south, waiting for a potential opportunity to third party with a Wraith Portal play. Vayne going to be last alive for Skeletron, just trying to hold CEF off, and it's not going to matter. Skeletron go down, and that is huge for the rest of the lobby.
Yeah, that's our second place team going out here. SBS only 1 point ahead of them currently, can start extending that lead. This can also allow HGZ, if they find a way to get some more points, to jump them as well after a lower placement last game. So it's really going to flip our lobby here if our top 2 teams still alive can extend their lead.
Team Mexico trying to make a cross into this next zone, as the hillside they were previously playing not going to be in. HGZ doing their best to hold them off, but that Gibby Dome showing its value, providing them a little bit of cover until they can get into that building. The only questionable part about that building is always the nade spam that could come in. But with that baby comp, they should be able to stabilize. We're going to see the strength of it potentially in that position. Back over at Launchpad, TMX, Uncanny Wave, Nice Guys, Big Ol' Boys, and SAS all on this northern side. At some point, fighting's going to have to break out here, especially once they see this next zone pop in about 5 seconds.
Absolutely, and this is going to be a shock for a lot of teams who are still sitting in Launchpad, or if they know it, they just all know that now they're going to have to fight their way in. And we see that it actually pulls to Mox up on that height, so they might be comfortable. I also see a lot of teams setting that building. That building is very difficult to hold at this point of the game.
TMX now in a fight against Hunt, Kenny, and Wave. They tried to sneak up on him, but it seemed like TMX were wise to the trickery. Both teams going to back off after they realized they were in a face-off there. We do have CEF getting some knocks on a different side of the map. We've also got Nice Guys launching their way in. A couple of our teams from Launchpad have escaped. Team Mexico have now tried to move into a strong position. Buckle Boys are going to go down. Giozi goes down as well, and the baby comp is going to have to go huge here for Team Mexico as Gibby Ultimate is raining down on their head.
Yeah, it comes out just as the bubble pops. They're able to fight through it, but they got Mox on their heads who are going to walk over, and they're also being shot at by, it looks like, the 92 Dream Team and Nice Guys. So they're getting pinched by 3 squads here. We'll see if the baby comp can keep them alive and do its job.
This position feels sketchy, but with this comp, any of these positions can work, especially considering the Newcastle wall has been able to live for this long. I'm a little bit surprised that Nice Guys and Dream Team haven't just dumped ammo to try to get rid of this thing. Here's the problem, though, as you see TMX with a zone wrap on to Nice Guys, and now Nice Guys in the sketchy position. They're going to be sandwiched by our 2 Mexican squads. Enemigo throws the Gibraltar ultimate. Nice Guys counter with theirs. Now
Yeah, the thing is here,
in a weird position here.
Yeah, TMX has 44 seconds to try and make this happen. And obviously, Nice Guys is going to be pinched, but it's going to be hard for them to win this fight nonetheless. If they do, however, they are 4 points ahead of Mexico and then will have their sightlines set on them to fight once again. Can they win it this time after losing the first 2 earlier today? And I say that Enemigo is going down at the rock.
Yeah, they put themselves in a position where they're just getting pinched. Nice Guys also going down, but now Team Mexico and 92 Dream Team, the ones getting the knocks here. We've also got HGZ going down to SAS, a battle of 2 of our top teams on the leaderboard. Gatto with an ill-advised time res. Hal by himself trying to make his way into this next zone. Hunt, Kenny, Wave gonna be eliminated. And then TMX down to just a solo, but we've got some playable space here with these boxes.
And if he gets the Gibby back up, Enemigo can drop up, and they could also get Gatto back in. So we'll have to see if he can pull that off, or if Mexico recognizes the res. It comes out now. Do they send it? They're shooting over the GLs on the Hemlock, and he gets them. But he is
Insta refrag though, and this is bad news. You got Team Mexico trying to get that KP. Once again, somehow, some way, these teams keep running into each other. I do want to point out, HGZ did go down in the kill feed, and that has sent SPS into first place. Actually, I believe they're already holding first place coming into this game, but now they have an even larger gap as they are still alive in this end game. But you can see Panic has now gone down in the kill feed.
I can't believe Team Mexico has managed to live here. Mox has just not been able to push out and look over them, because if they are, I believe they would have died right away. Does the bubble come out? They get the bubble, and now they can stick to the next res.
I don't know what their transition from this point is once they get the full revive here is, though. The bubble's going to go down. You don't really have any playable space. You can't hide behind the box anymore. I'm not quite sure how TMX is going to survive this situation. It's a miracle that they've made it this far, quite frankly. And with the zone now starting to close, things are going to get even more dire. Here comes the Knuckle Cluster jump, and that's going to be TMX's game done. Yanya able to get a piece of that KP as Team Mexico now try to inch ever closer. We can see our first place team, SPS, just on the other side of Team Mexico, sitting right in the middle, dead center of our next zone. SAS now going to take to the skies as well. Albrelli pops the Valkyrie ultimate. Where do they try to play? This could be a game changer for a lot of our teams. There's not going to be a lot of playable space here.
Yeah, 2 Valk ults in the sky here. Some team is going to get slammed, and as I say that, we see this. They come down on 92 Dream Team, try to wipe this up and see if they can hold down here. 5-star eliminated, 92 Dream Team eliminated, and SAS find themselves a spot on the southern part of our final zone here, looking at our first place team, SPS, just across from them.
Fantastic call by SAS because notably they're not playing the baby comp. So if they didn't land and get a clean wipe, I think it was only Shuvi needing to get 1 kill. But if they didn't get that clean wipe early, things could have got really sketchy if that fight became extended with SPS just to their north. We've got a handful of teams here. Mox, SPS, SAS, Sesame Oil, Team Mexico, Big Ol' Boys, and JDN all still alive in this endgame. Most of our teams on that northern side, inside of Devastated Coast. We've got a fight now. Enemy with a masterful armor swap. Looks like that was pre-set up before the fight even took place, and that is Mox that are going to be eliminated. They were holding this position through the entirety of the game, and it's not able to pay dividends for them.
That was Mox's building, so it could have been their armor swap that hurt them. Team Mexico immediately gets eliminated, and that is not even enough for them to pass TMX as the heads up. As we have Pluto Reality down to a solo as well, trying to get out and live. SPS just chilling in the zone here right now, cycling tax, trying to live, and again, continue to extend their lead.
We talk about how powerful the baby comp can be. That was a wild nade that almost sent Saucer straight to his death. Unfortunately, though, it looked like for Team Mexico, I don't know if you saw that Newcastle wall, slightly angled a little too far to the left, left a bit of a gap that allowed Big Ol' Boys to shoot straight through. You got to be precise with those ability placements, and I know the Newcastle wall can sometimes be a little bit wonky with the way that it goes down, but that's going to lead to Team Mexico's demise. Otherwise, SPS going for a huge potential win here, trying to build that lead. Let's go into a listen-in.
Yeah, Bob?
Yes, I'm up.
No miss one randomly on the corner. I have wall in 10%, bro. Wall in 10%.
Yeah, I'm waiting for it. Kill the team on the right. They just on the right. Kill them swinging.
Yeah, we just need to look across.
I'm just staring at them. I'm staring
I'm
at them.
gonna wall in 2, guys.
Yeah.
Wall in 1. I stand up 3. Wall in.
Okay. Good ball.
Nice. Remember, there's still a team on our right. Yep.
We just keep shooting up the street team.
If he's ulted. Bad fuse zone, really bad fuse zone.
Yeah, straight back.
Thinking. Grenading. I'm queuing. You got a bomb. I'm batting.
All right, we're good.
Don't get swamped. They valcoed.
Team on the cross.
They valcoed. Watch the right and left. Watch the right and left.
Chill, Nate.
Pull me.
I get to left.
Yep.
Okay, I can't give you enough.
I'm batting.
I'm taking him down.
Do you want to kill him?
No, they're gonna die. He got the rest off.
Nice, keep going.
This is the power of the baby comp. Somehow, some way, SPS still alive. The bubble well timed to get the revive, and that forces SAS onto the height, going for the fight against Big Ol' Boys. Sorry, Big Ol' Boys have been eliminated. It's going to get CEF, who are going to go down. SAS on the height. JDN still on the stairs as well, and SPS just gonna hold this low ground. Here comes the swing from Sykes. Big damage from SPS. Nobody knocked so far on SPS's side. This could bode well for the potential endgame. Keepy bubble to stall for time, hoping the SAS is gonna have to drop. That's JDN eliminated, and SPS with another huge win. And that could make the gap at the top of this leaderboard even larger.
You know, Jay, I thought we were going to come into this and see the USA bracket be super close. Instead, we got Mexico separated by 1 point, while SPS is out here taking a near 15-point lead with their second win of the day. What a performance there. A near perfect wall from Sykes when he got that back. We heard him shouting about it, trying to keep his team calm, that it was coming out. Good cycling of attacks, keeping his team alive. They didn't even have to burn their Valk ult to try and desperately fly in the air without getting shot. They just stayed in that corner and cleaned up the fights at the end. But SAS, on the other hand, they come in at second with 16 points on their 7 KP there. JDN, they bring themselves out with 8 points. CEF dropped 12 kills for 4th place. They get 17. Big Ol' Boys with 13. Sesame Oil with 11. Team Mexico only 4. Mox with 8. 92 Dream Team 5-star. Round of your top 10. What I noticed here, Jay, is HGZ, Skeletron, those other teams that were up in the conversation of the top of the leaderboard for those challenges, they only dropped 1 and 3 points respectively.
Yeah, even Buckle Boy, another team that was up near the top of the overall leaderboard coming to this game, not with a strong performance. And look at that gap. We have 1 game remaining on Stormpoint. We talked about how chaotic this game could get, and SPS find themselves in a position where they have a 13-point lead over SAS, who are in second, and a 20-point lead over Skeletron in third. Barring disaster, this could be a 2-horse race going into this final game, because a 20-point comeback is going to require SPS to go out early, and then you have to drop a huge game yourself. If you were Skeletron, if you were HGZ, if you were Sesame Oil, That's what you have to do. This game is going to get real aggressive. Honestly, from third down, I feel like teams might just start sending it. Outside of maybe our Mexico squads, if you look over on the right side, TMX currently sat in 13th, 24 points. And you mentioned it, only 1 point separating the two of them. Team Mexico in 15th with 23 points. I wonder, does that gap between them, is that still close enough that they don't try to take that early fight, or does one of them go for the gamble? If you go for that early fight and get the wipe, that is your ticket punched through to the Esports Nations Cup. That's something I'm looking forward to the beginning of this next game, but Jumba, I think things are going to get real chaotic here in game number 6.
Yeah, that Mexico gamble is going to be the interesting one if those teams want to take it. Like, let the whole game go out and see if fate goes your way, or just settle it in a 3v3 off rip. If you guys are just tuning in, we got game 6 coming up here, and if you're not sure exactly how the qualifiers work, we got Team USA and Team Mexico squads that are up challenging for the qualification. We'll get back to that right after this quick break. The ALGS Split 2 playoffs is taking place in the entertainment city of the world, Las Vegas, on October 29th to November 1st. Get your tickets at go.ea.com so that you can visit the NA LAN. NA LANs are always my favorite. They're a blast. I get to see all the fans, friends come out. Jay, entertainment city of the world, tell me, what are you most excited about Vegas?
You know me, I'm the most excited to watch the Apex. 40 of the best teams from around the world. I think it's going to be an amazing time. The storylines that we have going in, Unlimit, the first ever Japanese team to win previously in Paris. Will more records be broken in Vegas? We'll have to find out, but I know it's going to be an amazing tournament. And I will recommend for any North American fans, because the travel is cheaper for you it is worth going. I would highly recommend. It is worth going.
It's the absolute best way to experience all the Apex Legends action. 40 elite teams, $2 million prize pool, fan activations, and more. Tickets are on sale at go.ea.com/split2tickets. I promise you guys, if you have the ability to go, you won't regret it.
I agree. It's going to be a blast.
So Jay, Game 6 starting up here. It's deciding who are going to be our last two teams. Our one team from Mexico, our one team from USA, get the qualification. SPS just took a 13-point lead on second and like a 20-point lead on third, fourth, fifth. What do you think? This is going to be a crazy one.
So I like to compare this to the EWC Survivor Series that we saw most recently, that 10-game set, those final games where you realize, here's where we are, here's the cutoff. You start to do the math and you realize we might need to make history if we want to go and qualify, which, listen, miracles have happened before. We've seen huge games. I remember, I think it was in APAC South, we saw like a 40-point game one time. So it's certainly possible, but if you're one of those teams in the bottom half of the leaderboard, outside of our two Mexico squads, outside of our representatives for Team Canada and Brazil, everybody else for these United States spots, you are fighting for your lives. This is your last game if you want to punch your ticket to land. And so we're going to start to see a lot of teams be very aggressive, and I think this bodes well for a team like SPS because they can just rotate to zone, play fundamental Apex, and as long as they can avoid all the carnage, a lot of the teams are probably going to go die out on the edge, giving them even more placement points.
Yeah, we've never had a qualifier like this before. LCQ's previous EWC Survivor stages, the most or the least we had for teams qualifying was 2 spots. For USA, there is only 1. For Mexico, there is only 1 available. It all comes down to this final game here, and we're going to see some crazy action because these teams know they got their work cut out for them. Whereas on the flip side, SPS, they're sitting a bit comfortable, but they're also going to be a bit nervous if they go down early. So we're going to want to see what they also have in store. They've been doing really good getting center zone, getting to their spots and being able to hold out. But can they calm those nerves and close this one out here? We're going to find that out very, very soon.
All right, so going to this final game, though, Jumba, we do have a battle for Mexico. Team Mexico versus TMX. These teams have run into each other throughout the day. We keep talking about how unfortunate it is when you allow the other squads to get KP. They are separated right now by only 1 point, and I've talked about it. They are landing right next to each other. 2 of the most historically contested POIs since contests have left us due to the POI draft. What do you think we're going to see out of these 2 squads as we take a look at some of the tape as they fought throughout the days?
I agree with you that I think these squads might try to settle it right here, right now, get it over with, only because you're putting the fight in your hands to make sure you qualify, as opposed to trying to let RNG, let other teams get into the mix here. And even with POI draft, we've seen these POIs be the ones that they always contest, right? So I think we might see a really interesting, never before seen situation pull out here in Apex in this final game. Like I said before, I think the really interesting thing has been is that Team Mexico's won a lot of the fights or got the KP on TMX, and TMX is the one with 1 point lead here, right? So if you guys are wondering what we're talking about, direct your eyes to the north of our map at North Pad and Trident, where Team Mexico and TMX are landing right next to each other.
Absolutely. And I got to say, if these teams both actually engage with this, if we see someone run away, it's a little different. But if they both run at each other head on, what a badass way to decide this tournament. I would have so much respect for both those squads saying, listen, forget about the rest of the lobby, forget about the zone pull, forget about maybe being inted or not having ring console or whatever it is. I'm taking my chance right here, right now. I'm putting it all on the line in a straight up 3v3 TDM style fight. Now, we'll have to see, because if you don't get the greatest of loot off drop, you might not want to be able to do it. But with no Gibby, I think we're also going to see less stabilization in the early game, so maybe more aggressive comps. These teams could just send it straight at each other with some Axel Qs. We'll have to see. At the same time, though, later in the game, we have SPS and SAS. We saw them in the top right corner, both at Zeus and Lightning Rod. I don't think they're going to fight with each other. There's no incentive, at least for SPS, to do so, as dying would only benefit the opposing side. You don't stamp your ticket with a win, but I do wonder, in a potential mirroring situation, does SAS maybe try to get a little aggressive as well, considering that an early wipe on an SPS could narrow that gap even sooner and maybe give them a pretty clear chance at taking first place. We'll have to see. But man, I'm excited for this potential between the two Mexican squads because I mean, listen, Jumbo, we've seen Yanya and the boys, we've seen them go toe-to-toe in this very same spot with Alliance on land. So I just can't believe that they see this opportunity right in front of them and they don't just think about it at least for a second.
I think the catch too is like we don't get to see this often because match point, you never want to like die early. You never want to take that risk. But like this is a situation where you can like let it all just to be decided right now, right? So yeah, we don't get finals like this very often anymore, and to see it happen, it could be a bold one. But Jay, I think you were saying something on Twitter. Let's take a look at this tweet here and what you had for us.
I don't, guys. Are you kidding me? Are we pulling up a live tweet of my response to my take? For the context here, I tweeted before the set started, hot take, Zach Mazer is gonna win today to represent the United States on the global stage. I even said it's his destiny. I tweeted this in response about 30 minutes ago because obviously it has not gone according to plan. And barring a miracle of a game here in game 6, I think they were like 14th, 15th, somewhere low on the leaderboard. They need like a 30 kill game. It's been done before. It's been done before, and they certainly have the talent, but I just don't know if it's in the cards.
It's been done before, but I don't know if it's been done in the Americas in this lobby. But like, hey, like you said, some teams are looking to make history here if they want to go represent their country at the upcoming LAN. Yeah.
You want to talk about destiny, though. I mean, what if you just drop like a 35 kill win?
If you drop a 35 kill win on Storm Point, somehow find all those teams to kill them, and hey, you know what, on Edge with the revives, I guess there's more potential for KP that could come out. They could just farm some squad on the outside, just
tactically kill two and then run away. Let them revive and go fight somebody else and then come back later.
Just box res over and over. That's going back to just like our SAS versus SPS or our Team Mexico versus TMX squads. That's an interesting point too for that first initial fight with the Mexico squads, is that like if you don't really want to run away almost. Like, obviously, you want to keep yourself alive, but if TMX gives up 2 KP, suddenly they flip the leaderboard, and now if one gets out, you know, you're giving them a chance to get even more KP the next time you fight them. So that Deathbox revive might really come in play for those top teams and also our teams who are trying to rack up a lot of KP here.
I do think it's also a little bit sketchy if that does break out, because surely if I'm the checkpoint team, 2 TKR, now, they might respect it. They might be like, because listen, they're already qualified representing Brazil, okay? And if I was them, I would love to see them like just post up and watch if it starts happening, just like stare from afar. And if that happened, I mean, what a moment. But they could come in third party, even big old boys from the wall, even 92 Dream Team from Down Beast. We have a lot of teams that could think this might become a possibility, and you don't care about the outcome of that fight. All you care about is that could be easy points for us to pick up on a third-party attempt. And so it is a little sketchy. I don't know what our teams are necessarily thinking of in that regard. They might be worried about that possibility and not want to engage for that reason. But here we go, Jumba, into game number 6. And a lot of the squads that we're talking about are 2 Mexico teams, our 2 first and second place teams in SAS and SPS, all on the far northern side. So if you're a Skeletron believer, if you're an HGZ believer, you got to hope that this thing is pulling south.
Absolutely, yeah. You know, if some of those teams that were in the top 5 outside of SPS were near TMX and Mexico, I was thinking that do one of them look for the third party. And these other squads might as well, because it's their only opportunity if they want to. But it could be a little bit of a lower probability with the fact that they're not as close to SPS's massive lead here. Coming into this game. Real quick, just as we're about to get into our final game here, to recap for everyone, we have the USA qualifier on the line here. There's 16 squads that have one chance to get into the LAN and represent their team, as well as the Team Mexico and TMX fight that will decide who's going to represent their country, Mexico, for the ENC International LAN. And we got our first POVs here, looking at them as we drop in with Team Mexico.
Be over at North Pad. The question is, do they want to take this fight? I feel like they're probably the ones who are going to be the aggressors between the two, as they are currently the team that is on the lower end. If you are TMX, maybe you're not as aggressive, as you do have a little bit worse loot as well. Both of our teams so far just looting up. No early indications that any fight will break out. And especially with no Trident, it does stall things out, as referencing those Alliance moments in the past. Alliance was often the team that Trident that would just grab that thing and launch on over to North Pad with Cigado with a charged Sentinel, which could be a game changer. Both teams on white armor to start. If this fight does happen, you never know. But it actually looks like TMX, maybe early on, going to decide to just rotate out early. Maybe they don't want to test their luck. They might have an inkling that Mexico could be on their way over, and they're deciding to move to that spider choke pretty quickly.
They might run into nice guys, though. And so this comes down to, if they fight nice guys here, you almost would have wanted to test your luck against the team that would have put you through, because if you lose here, that just gives Mexico, again, the full opportunity. We'll see. On the flip side, though, we got our zone pulling over towards Mill, Bean area, in that central, just in between Cenote, or Cedo, I apologize.
We have SAS right now in a dire situation. Big ol' boys have rotated from the wall straight up to Zoo Station. We talked about teams wanting to get aggressive. Big ol' boys need to have one of those miracle-like games, and they're going for it right now. Chaos versus Shubi in a 1v1. And unfortunately, he's going to go down. It's going to be Skittle Cakes, and that is SAS eliminated by Sang and the Big Ol' Boys. Our second place team is down, and SPS, currently sitting in first, have a 20-point gap between them and third. Meanwhile, you mentioned it, TMX might get ran into by a team. That's going to be 2TKR. We jump over to the Avengers, the team that I may or may not have cast or cursed. I don't know if I need to take responsibility for that as of yet. Could still be Jumba's fault. They're in a fight for their lives at Launchpad against Mox. And this is going to be Zainu last alive, and it's not going to be enough. The Avengers go down. Their day is done. Unfortunately, it was not Zach Mazur's destiny. They will not be representing Team USA.
We got Cruel Buckle, who's also knocked here for the Buckle Boys, as they're in a fight. Hunt, Kenny Wave go down in the kill feed. Already, I feel like we basically just dropped in. We already got 3 squads down, out, and eliminated from contention. Sesame Oil, our 4th place team underneath Buckle Boys here. Another squad that doesn't want to go down this early, since they are close to being able to qualify. Like, what a heartbreaker for SAS to be 2nd place here. But we knew something was going to happen. We thought it was going to come out with the Mexican teams, but instead it was Big Ol' Boys who just ran down SAS and are probably going to keep continuing their tirade here.
Cedo Station. We have got HGZ with some early shots, just trying to hold down this pyramid, but we've got Canada, Nice Guys, and JDN making their way in to Cedo Station as well. HGZ looking to pick up some big kill points, and we've talked about this storyline. Being in 3rd place and you are still 20 points behind, even if you get that match point win, sorry, not match point, even if you get the win in game number 6 here, the 12 extra points that it nets you, you still need a lot of KP, and that's assuming that SPS doesn't get any more points.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, we have a lot of teams really getting congested. 5-star CES, Buckle Boys, Sesame Oil, as you're saying, all in this area. Barrow. I'm not sure if they think it's Barrow pulling here or they're just trying to do it for kills. I wonder what you're thinking about that, but USSA is now our next team eliminated, down to Mox. We already have 6 KP, mind you.
Yeah, they've taken out both the Avengers and USSA. We talked about this huge game that teams need to drop, and this is a squad that's currently on pace to potentially do so. Unfortunately for SPS, with that zone pulling all the way over to Cedo Station, they've got a long way to go to try to avoid a lot of our teams. And the same can go for Sesame Oil. We jump over to Team Mexico, now moved over to Down Beast. They're on the complete opposite side of the map as TMX find themselves at Lightning Rod. So Team Mexico, most likely just going to go for some 3rd ring information here, or sorry, 2nd ring information. Maybe even stay at Down Beast for 3rd, though, as the ring console is present. But we jump back over to Team Skeletron and 2TKR fighting outside of Command Center. And here's the interesting part. If they can get this wipe early, Skeletron, they might find themselves in a position as SPS is right behind them at Stormcatcher. You can use Process as elimination to know that might be the Lightning Rod team, and we could see an early fight, depending on what happens here with 2TKR.
Yeah, and it looks like SPS is even already leaving, because like if you think about it, with how inty and like how much fighting is going to happen on this edge of this zone here, they can actually rack up placement points pretty easy compared to previous games. As we say that, big old boys have now taken out Mox. Flipping it, they now have 6 KP. They may be the ones trying to set history, as we were talking about before.
Yeah, 2 of our teams that were on an early tirade, going for those early fights, gonna end up meeting each other. Buckle Boys also going to go down. Our game 1 winners not able to keep up the consistency throughout the lobby. Their day will also be done. 2TKR, as you see, getting the respawn as our first place team. SPS just trying to scrape a few points. Because even if a team can drop a huge win, there's no guarantee that if you can get at least a handful of points here, that they're going to be able to surpass you, especially if you can add some KP onto here. And that's going to be one of the members of 2TKR's or solo, but they're not going to risk it. They're going to push him off, not aware that his teammates might not be behind, and just going to move deeper into zone. And the best part about this for SPS, they have made their way past Skeletron, 2TKR, and the big old boys. Which means if they can find themselves a spot in the zone, in Cedo Station, where you can see, we have 3 teams. Nice Guys, HGZ, and Team Canada. And they can maybe secure their spot, even just off of placement alone. You can see 5-star 92 Dream Team, though, going to be engaging at Cenote Cave, and the opposite happening over at Stormcatcher.
Absolutely, 5-star looks like they're trying to wrap here and finish off the fight, but Dark actually does go down 2 knocked. So a 3v1 situation turns into a 2v1. And it looks like they're turning the fight on to 5-star instead with Cade down to 1 HP, and he's eliminated. And 92 Dream Team finds a way to live to see another day, see if they get the reset, but Fredster's holding him out with the longbow right now.
I'm surprised that Sesame Oil don't try to push and get the wipe here on a 92 Dream Team. I'm not sure if they didn't realize there's maybe a knock there, but regardless, they need one of those big games. Skeletron, speaking of big games, they're going for one. Cole able to get knocks onto 2 of Big Ol' Boys. Koiful going for the wipe, and that is Big Ol' Boys eliminated. Skeletron with 4 KP in this game here, trying to claw their way back. Koiful getting shot from 2TKR, who are now walking through the choke.
They got to get out of here as this fight begins to engage. I just want to toss out that SPS has found their way into Cedo. A strong position too. Watson Dup on the inside of the building. And if we compare it to one of our first 2 games, I believe there was 15 squads alive in our final zone. We have 11 here. In 1 more placement, they get themselves, I believe it's 2 points extra on top of it. And that might not sound like a lot, but when you got a 20-point lead after the next team that's alive in this lobby, it's a lot.
Back to our battle for Mexico. TMX rotating all the way from Trident up to Lightning Rod, have made their way down to Pylon. A completely opposite rotate of Team Mexico, who are dead center zone, right next to SBS, like you mentioned. But TMX, after this wild rotation, because of the way this lobby is going, could actually find themselves a spot in Cedo Station as well. Only 4 teams inside of the POI. And one of those teams is Team Canada, who have just lost out on a member to Riley, to JDN. Or actually, sorry, to Nice Guys. And so you got to wonder, could this, with Team Mexico and TMX potentially both in this endgame, could this come down to who can just last a little bit longer, maybe even take the game?
I really thought that this lobby was going to come down to one of the Mexico teams just absolutely taking a crazy lead and the other one not being able to get back. Instead, it's been that they've been at each other the entire time, and it's the flip side for our USA teams who are now playing desperate.
I'm surprised here, Jumba, by HGZ's spot. I'm confused considering the 20-point gap between them and SPS, that they aren't trying to be a little bit more aggressive. I mean, look at this composition. Watson, Newcastle, they're gambling on the win here. The only question is, can they get enough KP to overcome that gap, especially with SPS able to potentially rack up some points as well, so that lead might grow even larger.
You gotta wonder what the mindset is for some of these vetted players who, even in like the toughest situations, think we just play our game. We just play our game because it's what works out. You could always make a comeback if you stick to what works. Where here, it feels like at this point, you gotta just do something wildly different. Like your game isn't gonna cut it. But the longer they live, the more points they rack up. They just gotta hope that in the next couple placements here, SPS goes down.
All right, I talked about this earlier. I was surprised that Sesame Oil, sitting in 4th, did not send it onto 92 Dream Team. And unfortunately for the Dream Team, they were not able to find a rotation path to get away. Sesame Oil still successfully gatekeeping them, and their patience is going to pay off. They already have the early knock onto Circe. They've got to get this wipe fast, though, because each of their health is slowly ticking down in the zone. If any of them don't realize how low they are, they could all end up perishing to the zone. That's knocked down, but it's A1's last alive, and he's going to have to heal in a 1v1 against Dropped. He does have the Valkyrie missiles, which could be a game changer.
He has no...
I think he's down to no syringes.
He had no
He
syringes.
gets blessed by the pin behind him, and he narrowly gets it off. This could be their day done if he can't get the wipe here. Those are his last syringes. He's got to go. I'm surprised that he's sticking around to get this KP. It's not even worth it. You need a huge win here. A1's, what are we doing?
And that's his game right there. He's got no time left to heal anymore. And that's going to be it for Sesame Oil. The zone takes him out. Do 92 Dream Team get the reset is the thing. I believe 92 Dream Team might almost be out here, but we've got a fight with TMX. This is going to be huge for their placement. Let's get a listen in with them right now.
Derecha. Viene ya derecha, viene ya derecha.
Ya valió, ver.
Está aquí.
Se mata. Levántalo. Le.
Cállate. Eso, tú sigue con tu vida.
Gato gonna be last alive. That was Team Skeletron getting the wipe onto both of his teammates. And now he is in a tough position. Unfortunately, only 2 ways to get out of this POI, and Skeletron are looking to try and claim both, Jumba.
Yeah, they know that he's still here. And the Axel, unfortunately, doesn't have the verticality that he needs to get out of this POI. It's looking like it might be the end for them. Now, they are 1 point ahead of Mexico. So it's a lead, but Mexico will be the team ahead of them. And if they get 1 KP, they'll be able to surpass.
That is TMX eliminated. They did manage to make it to 10th, but the placement won't matter, like you said, because Team Mexico's still alive as well. Team Mexico still with work to do. They need another point. I'm not sure about tiebreakers, so they might need 2. Okay, I've got confirmation. They do need 2. If it does tie, TMX does take that tiebreaker. And so Team Mexico by no means out of the woods yet. They cannot afford to go down soon here. Team Skeletron have moved up into 2nd place with 50 total points. A very different strategy from HGZ that I talked about earlier, where I was surprised how conservative they were playing. Skeletron have been running it down on the edge. They are now only 13 points behind our 1st place team, Jumba. And that is very doable if they can get the win.
And Jay, take a look at the zone. It's pulling to them. They're the only squad actually even able to get into the next zone cleanly. SPS, who I was about to say is stuck in Cedo, actually are Valk ulting though. So this might be the decider right here. If SPS can find a way to still continue to live and keep racking up more KP. But if they go down here, Skeletron has a very, very strong position to give them a run for their money.
SPS with a good rotate, and this is a very safe position, especially considering the legend composition they do have. We saw Team Mexico also try to take to the skies, as did HGZ, and their day is done. The favorites coming in to represent the United States are eliminated. We will not be seeing Hal, Guild, or Zapto at the Esports Nations Cup. Team Skeletron, crucially, getting a couple pieces of KP there. I did want to mention, Team Mexico tried to Valk ult to see if they get deeper in a zone, and maybe it was a blessing in disguise. As one of them got Kraber, they had to go back down and get the revive. But considering what we just saw for HGZ, maybe it wasn't even worth it.
Yeah, it's the early Valk ults. They both land here alongside JDN, and just Skeletron having this height, it's too much to handle. It's technically Hal's first land that he is not going to be competing in Apex, in the history of Apex.
Yeah, historic moment for sure. I do want to keep track of Team Mexico for everyone. Still at 25 points. Still going to need 2 more points to surpass TMX in this endgame. After the failed Valkyrie, they do have it back, but the question is, do they want to risk it, or do they want to just try to get KP on their edge here? The Valkyrie ultimate is going to be used. The question is, where do they play? They do have the Newcastle and the Rampart walls to stabilize a potential playable position. A lot of empty space on the southwestern side. The question is, can they make it work? The Axel ultimate used to try to pre-fire that position. Newcastle wall's going to come out, and Mexico has stabilized for now.
With 92
guys just to their north, but wait, they've been eliminated, and Team Mexico has actually gained a point. We're now tied.
They are now tied, so they need 1 point to be able to surpass them, and that would come with the next team that goes down.
They just need to survive here. Riley going down in the kill feed. That's the team up to their north. You can see Team Mexico putting pressure onto 5-star and SPS. Team Skeletron still on the ultimate height there, over near Jurassic, and JDN just below them. Skeletron are hoping and praying that a team like SPS here, who are no longer in zone, as you can see, are going to get wiped and are the team that go down in 6th, which could open the door for a Skeletron qual. But for Mexico, they still just need this 1 point. So far, the lobby, I think this is where the nerves are setting in, Jumba. Nobody wanting to make an early move.
Absolutely, because if SPS goes down here, and if then Skeletron recognize that, with the available KP left in the lobby, they could do this. I say that Vayne gets shot and Koifel down to 1 HP trying to get the bat off. They're getting sent, and it might be the end of Skeletron. Unless Koifel turns it around, Cole last solo up on the full height.
1v2 against 2 TKR, one of those teams that's already qualified. They're just playing for pride, for seeding right now. And you can see that aggression, but 2 TKR get eliminated.
Oh my god.
Kills. Does Skeletron get the reset? No! Skeletron, the miracle is not going to be doable. It is now down to SPS or JDN. And there is
I don't think there's an
18-point gap between the two. I don't even think it's mathematically possible. Team Mexico also notably picks up the placement. Team Mexico have qualified, and I think that should be our teams locked in. Team Canada, though, trying to take the fight onto Team Mexico.
Yanya with the no-scope. Coming in, and that's
from Yanya. Cobra gonna be last alive. Mexico trying to get the reset, but here comes SPS, our team that has dominated throughout the day.
Are they gonna go for a third
They're just rubbing it in.
A third win possibly coming out here. They have the healthier shields here, and they even get the knock.
Wait, the Sorcerer now in a 1v2 against Zephyr. And that's JDN who are able to get the win, which has launched them up to 3rd place on the leaderboard. A valiant effort, but unfortunately, it is not going to be enough. Congratulations to SPS and Team Mexico, who, as we saw there, by the time it was top 4 Jumba, mathematically, both of those teams had locked their spots in. Man, Skeletron, it felt like they were close. If they could have taken an early fight in that endgame against a team like SPS, it was possible, but unfortunately for them, they were not able to get it done. And Jumbo, tell me your thoughts on this series so far.
I mean, what a way to close it out. And, you know, it did come down right to the end. Yeah, Skeletron had an opportunity the whole time. 10 KP up until that point. And if they just won that last fight, it would have been a nail-biter. But, you know, SPS played it great. They just stayed really small, lived as long as they could, and racked up those placement points. They got 9 placement points. If they don't go down early, it was going to be a big gap to jump no matter what. We knew that coming in. On the flip side, for TMX and Team Mexico, what a series all the way throughout. They're going head-to-head the whole time, and it unfortunately came down to that one fight with Skeletron, in fact, that TMX loses, and Mexico finally gets themselves some points to extend that gap and qualify themselves for the Esports Nations Cup. We have all of our teams now that have officially solidified their spot to represent their country.
Yeah, as we take a look at the overall standings, you can see SPS, what a dominant day from them. They really owned Storm Point. That was their map today. Picking up 73 total points, nobody even close. Wasn't really much of a nail-biter going into that final game. That's how good they were. The other teams that we were looking at, like you said, Team Mexico down in 9th, 32 points, where TMX in 16th at 26. It was a little bit closer than I think the leaderboard would show, but shout out to Team Mexico. Definitely the team that I would say was the favorite to represent the nation coming in. They were able to handle their business in that final game.
Yeah, for for USA, we know is obviously people are talking about Hal coming in. We talked about a lot of the other favorites at the beginning that could have won here, but you know, Sykes and Panic coming off their recent LAN, their group stage performance had us thinking that they were the favorites going to the final. And even though they only placed 9th at that LAN, like they looked like they had the potential to win the entire time. That's how close that final was as well. So a great team to represent the USA here going into the Esports Nations Cup. It was an amazing day for them, and it's going to look really good, especially for Sauce, who didn't get to play at the last LAN, to get his chance to bounce back at this one.
Yeah, I know this is probably going to be a really cool moment for these guys. Not often that you get to represent your country on the international stage, and certainly going to be one of the favorites going into this tournament, considering the strength of the region that they are coming from, and it's going to be awesome to see. I also really do want to shout out Sykes. I tweeted this during the previous event when we were in Paris, but I feel like this guy's transition to being the full-time anchor player for his team, we'd seen it somewhat in the past when he was playing with Dark Zero, for example, but I feel like he's really embraced it at a whole new level with certain characters now, like Newcastle, or playing the controller class legends. I just think that it cannot be overstated how impactful his play has been for this team, but also Sauce. I mean, he was the odd one coming in. Considering the rules, only 2 of your previous 3 players from the team are allowed to team. He was the one that I think had to come in, Jumba, and really find a groove with 2 guys that he's never played with before. Talk to me about how you feel Sauce impacted the squad.
Well, that's definitely the thing. Like, it's not easy to join a squad as an IGL with 2 guys you haven't played before, understand how they're going to react to your comms and pick it up and perform. And instead, they did today. I mean, I think his zone calls are great. They played edge when they needed to and found the center zone late. He obviously was trying to keep them alive in that last game. So I think Sauce played very calm compared to how I even see him in the past. When we listen to comms from Sauce, he's always very chaotic, I find. He's very loud, and that's great sometimes, but in that final end game on Storm Point, everything was cool, collected. They kept themselves focused on what the task was at hand, and they closed out what I thought was probably the hardest game in this set, with so many teams alive in that moment. And that was the one that clearly set them on the path of winning this entire qualifier. So shout out SPS, shout out Sauce, and you're right. I think Sykes in this moment here that we're looking at really carried his squad here with the Newcastle play.
Absolutely, but we would be remiss to not mention Panic as well. The young superstar fragger. Shout out to our boy Wig, because I know that he was a little bit critical, I think, of the Team Liquid character compositions in LAN, wanting to see Panic unleashed a little bit more on those aggressive characters, and today he shows why. He went absolutely crazy, was a key part in this team having the success, but I also think the thing that I noticed when we jumped into some of those listen-ins was the maturity that we saw Panic have over the last few years. Last year, there was some difficulties with that TSM roster where it felt like there was some outbursts, and maybe, you know, today they didn't start off the greatest in their first couple of games, Jumbo, where maybe there would have been some mental turmoil. It seems like all of that has completely gone away, and this squad was a well-oiled machine.
No, I think over the last year, we've seen them each individually make strides on their game. Panic was one of the biggest rising stars coming out of the last year of ALGS Pro League, and he's clearly proving why that was a conversation happening back then, being on the team now to qualify for this Esports Nations Cup, the only one from USA, and it's going to be a treat to watch this squad going into that LAN, because as you said, they are the one of the favorites, if not the favorite probably now, to win with the strength of the region.
Dude, I'm just reflecting on that sort of storyline for Panic. I think about a year and a half ago, he's showing up to the ALGS Open. Not a lot of people really know who he is, outside of maybe some Challenger Circuit players and fans, and yet he goes there and was able to absolutely frag out, ends up getting picked up by that TSM roster later. They make every LAN finals. He's popping off. His team is going through to match point on each of those LANs, and now you see him on this Team Liquid squad showing his flexibility, whether it be when he's playing with Zero, when he's playing some different characters, or today going back into that featured role where he's able to really pop off and provide for his team. And now he's going to be representing the United States in an international LAN. I mean, what a crazy come up it's been for him in a year and a half.
Absolutely. On the day, 12 kills, 7,300 damage for Panic, helping lead his team. You know, you see 28 kills there. He had the majority himself. Yeah. Yeah, no, it's clear that the impact that he has on every squad he goes to with just the amount of firepower he can put. And then also too, when it comes to these portal characters, the alters, the rates, like he's got an intelligence like not like many others. Like just in the way that he can find those spots to get picks and bounce around and just be a slippery guy. I would not like playing against him if I was in Pro League.
Absolutely. I do also want to shout out two teams. We weren't focusing as much on their storylines because they had already locked their spots up, but 2TKR representing Brazil and Team Canada, obviously representing Canada, those two squads with some good performances today, but mainly good performances throughout the tournament to get to this point so that they could represent their nations. As we have our qualified teams through each of our regional qualifiers now fully decided, at least for the Americas region, we've got all of our countries, Jumba. Does anything here stand out to you? Obviously, I know some of the heavy hitters from USA didn't quite make it that we expected, and it's going to be an interesting tournament, though.
Absolutely. I think that, when you get some of the other big teams in here now, like Hand of Anubis, you get Primus Commanda, you get some of our EMEA squads back in here, and then obviously, our region that's holding the current LAN defending title, even if it's not the team, the APAC North region, we're in for a interesting competition that's going to come out here. And the other thing is I want to shout out all the players that they're going to go compete at their first LAN ever, because we got a lot of countries, a lot of players who aren't even in Pro League who are getting their opportunity to compete at LAN. I can't imagine how cool that is to go represent your country for the first time too as well. It's going to be experience for all those teams and players as well, and so shout out them. Really happy for everyone going into this tournament.
And I really do think, if I think back to some stories of previous sort of underdog teams that were given a chance to compete on a LAN, I think back, obviously, like we talked about with Panic at the Open and kind of the name that he was able to make for himself. I think of QQ, notably for VK Gaming, all the way back to when we had those slots that were allocated for Chinese teams, and he was able to sub for Never to Change. And although he didn't really make a name for himself there, that was sort of the beginning of his story when it came to his LAN performance. And maybe that was valuable experience for him as he went on to have the career that he has had. So I do wonder, for a lot of these countries where maybe we're not as familiar, like Chile, like Guatemala, like Peru, even when we go over to some other regions like Hong Kong or Norway, for example, can we get maybe some rising stars in this tournament that could show what they're made of?
Yeah, every time we've had a LAN like this where we see a lot of different players get an opportunity, there's usually one person that makes a name for themselves that shows something that no one expected. You think about like someone like Floating during the Open, who just went absolutely crazy and now just came off like a huge performance in the last split of Pro League with JDG. You can expect to see that at least maybe one of these players, you're gonna be like, oh, okay, what team are they gonna end up on going into split 2 now? Because it just always tends to happen. Someone shocks us. I'm the biggest culprit of going, I don't think this team's going to do much here, and then they completely prove me wrong and go absolutely crazy at the LAN. So it will be an entertaining one nonetheless.
Absolutely. I'm very excited for this tournament. I feel like it's such a unique format. It's such a interesting way to put a spotlight on so many new players and countries. But we do have a player that we want to put a spotlight on right now, and that is going to be Sorcerer from SPS, our IGL of our winning team. Sauce, I mean, what a dominant day from you guys. It seemed like when we flipped to Storm Point, everything just started clicking to me. Talk about the team and how y'all performed today.
Yeah, honestly, this is the best team and players I've ever played with, and it is such an honor and such a privilege to be able to play with them. When they first told me like, hey, we want to play with you for ENC, they laid out some things for me. The coach Caprime told me that for these next 2 weeks, he wants me to be super locked in, play the best that I can, and just overall just keep a good mentality. Like no stress, just try your best every day. And I think that really showed in how we were able to practice. Every day we got better. We were dominating scrims, and we just got our chemistry up. It felt like we were the team that cared the most about qualifying for this more than any other team.
Sauce, I know that the last LAN, you unfortunately missed out on it. I know how much LAN means to you from our previous conversations in the past. So to come in now, take this today, and be the team to represent USA, how much does that mean to you getting to get back there?
I mean, it means a lot to me as like to have another chance to play at a LAN and something as cool as ENC to represent USA, but also just for my confidence as well. Like I was in a pretty dark place last split, and I feel like I was just pulled out of it. Like I'm getting deja vu from last year when we won regional finals with ROC after just getting dropped and coming off of a bad split. Like it feels good knowing that I have the skill and the talent to be able to just turn things around if things aren't going right.
Yeah, Sauce, I got to say, it feels like you're one of these players that's starting to develop a reputation. When your back is against the wall, you can't count you out. I do want to bring up, how cool is it to have that moment with your family? We're getting word that your family rushed in and everybody was so hyped. I mean, dude, you're representing the United States for Apex Legends on the international stage. What does it mean to have your family there rooting for you?
I mean, it means a lot. Funnily enough, they weren't always supportive of my gaming career or that I wanted to do gaming, but it means a lot that they're very supportive now and they love what I do. They support me fully, and to do something as cool as represent the United States and my family being there. Like growing up, I watched the Olympics, like the World Cup, like all these sports, and being able to do it in my own way in esports is just it feels surreal. I feel like 10-year-old me like wouldn't believe that this is real. Like this is insane. I can't even believe it's real right now.
Yeah, like an opportunity like that, and this is the first time it's happened, especially for Apex. I can't imagine how amazing that must feel. I really quick wanted to kind of take us back to with the team. So like you were saying, under a month that you guys had to prep and get together, was there any growing pains, or do you think that you guys just clicked so fast and that's why you're able to come out today and take it all?
Honestly, I can't think of much growing pains. I mean, since the first day of scrims, we've gotten top 3 in every single scrim block we played except for 2. Like, it just feels insane to me. The chemistry that we naturally have together as a team feels like we've been a team for like a whole year just hammering out scrim blocks together. I don't have words to describe it. It just feels like everything naturally flows with this team. It's amazing. It just feels so good as an IGL to be able to experience this.
Now, Sauce, I don't mean to put you on the spot here. So if you need to, zip the lips here and you can't speak or you're in big trouble, by all means. But there's been some rumors about roster mania regarding Pro League and your future. Is it with this team? Do you have any comments about this? I mean, I know I'm just personally interested in this, but you got any comments maybe?
Yeah, I have a team for next split. I think we'll be a very fun team to watch. Obviously, I can't say much, but just keep an eye out for announcements. They should be hopefully by the end of this week or relatively soon, but I'm excited. The future's looking bright, and I'm ready to showcase what I've got.
He's not going to give us much there. He's not going to give us much there. I mean, is there any last few things you want to say, Sauce, about your 2 teammates and what they did today and how they helped you guys overcome? Because I know we talked a lot about you and like what you've done today, but like anything specifically from Sykes or Panic that you noticed that you're just like, they really put us above?
Yeah, I mean, Sykes is like one of the best, I think personally the best anchor player right now. The way he's been playing and the way he calms in scrims this entire tournament is amazing. And then Panic, he's just a phenomenal fragger. Like, I've never seen anyone like it. Not just his ability to frag, but how he calms, his passion, his work ethic. He takes criticism well. He learns from his mistakes. He's a good vibe guy as well. And I'm just so lucky to be able to team with them. I'm so grateful for them. And yeah, they deserve all the recognition.
All right. Well, I mean, this team, a lot of expectations heading into the Esports Nations Cup, being able to represent the United States. I feel like that puts you guys as one of the clear favorites going in. We'll have to see what happens, Sauce. Congratulations today. An absolute incredible performance. I mean, nobody was even really close to you guys. So it's going to be a great time. I'm excited to see what you guys can do in the future. And we appreciate the interview, my man.
Of course. Thank you, guys.
Have a good one, dude.
All right, Jumba, that's going to be it for this qualifier. I mean, what a day it has been. Obviously, through EMEA, all the roller coaster that we saw over there, now into the Americas, the battle for Mexico. We saw SPS rocket out to that lead on Storm Point. What a set of online qualifiers it's been.
Absolutely. Every single one of them was not short of some sort of nail-biting moment that really defined the play for a team to go represent their country. So the last thing that we can simply say here is congratulations to all the teams. We will see our event, and this actually unfolded at LAN, November 25th. What do you think, Jay? Last thoughts about the teams, what we saw today?
I'm so excited for the event when it does come. Obviously, we've got Vegas to get through first, and so a lot more of our teams will be focusing on Pro League, which I think will make it a little bit of a short turnaround time considering Vegas is at the very beginning of that month. And so about a 3.5-week turnaround, which means teams like SPS, who, like Saw said, it just clicked instantly. I think those are the squads that are going to potentially bode well on land, considering how little time they might have to scrim, similar to how little time they had to scrim leading into these qualifiers. But it's going to be fun, and I think we're going to see some amazing underdog stories and an incredible land once we get there.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, everyone, thank you all for joining us. Remember to tune in on November 25th to see the ENC, and then also to check out Split 2 regular season when it comes back, and then Vegas on October 29th. Thanks, everyone, for joining us today, and we'll see you on the next Play Apex broadcast.